And so I'll go over the names, I guess. Teresa,
Here.
Peter,
Here.
Haley,
Here.
and me here. Okay. First item is to approve the minutes. Have everyone looked at the minutes?
Yes. May I make a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, you may. Is there
I'll
a second?
second.
You're seconding? All right, all in favor? And we'll take a roll call on this. Teresa,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Haley, and me. Yes. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the review of the amended standard order of standard conditions. So I know I did a little bit with this and Haley did some, and so we're gonna try to get this accomplished, right? I think it might take more than 5 minutes, but it's probably well worth doing. So Rebecca, I know that you said that you had, well, do you want to just start at number 21 and just go through them and then?
Why don't I pull it up on the screen, the most recent version of which I incorporated Teresa's comments. Just give me a sec.
Yep. Do you have it? Oh, are you putting it up? How we?
Yeah, she's trying to put it up. Give her a minute.
Oh,
Jim.
okay. I didn't know if I was supposed to be doing something.
No.
Okay, yeah, you.
Can you see it?
Yep, it's a little
Okay.
blurry. I can see it.
It's blurry.
I said it's a little blurry. Maybe my glasses.
I think it might be you, Jim.
Okay. So this was the most recent version.
Okay.
The red is what Teresa added or edited. So obviously, under each specific project, you will insert your existing and resource area and project, etc. So then,
I kind of to interrupt you, Rebecca. Jim, if you didn't have a chance to look at this already, Rebecca did a great job of really revising the other version she had sent us that we had been using. It's
Right.
much more concise. It's much better. So I was like, what? I just wanted to say that. Sorry. Go ahead,
Oh.
Rebecca.
oh,
No,
thank you.
That's good.
So then, oh, I
Well-
just space. So there's the what Teresa added there, and then let me just show you real quick. These were the 3 from that other order of conditions, 30, I don't remember, 36, 41, and 42 maybe.
Okay, you thought it made sense to include those, Rebecca?
I included them, and if you
Yes.
want
So yes,
to look
yes,
over
you did think
now,
it made you made sense, right?
you can look at them now. Sure, and I mean, you can always revise this as you go along, and in the
No,
event.
I know. I was looking at the Western ones. I thought these were good. So I just
Yep.
so thank you for incorporating them.
So if you guys had a chance to look at it, and then Haley, I think, excuse me, some of your comments I had incorporated, so I think we should be all set there.
I don't know. Look at number 48.
Yep.
So yeah, so you could take out the question mark. I thought it should be closer than 50 feet in number 48. So
So some of those were the numbers I actually thought you would probably determine on a case by case basis.
okay, so
depending
just
on
leave it
what's-
blank.
Yeah, I didn't want
Okay.
to leave it blank because we hadn't left it blank before, but I certainly think that on an individual
No, that
basis,
makes sense.
you would probably go through each one that had numbers in them and ensure that they still made sense.
And Rebecca, you just have to make sure that when you go through it, every time we do an order that we look at these, because I think maybe in the past, maybe not so much, right?
Yep. So, and then these were some that were from the previous order that I just kind of didn't want to get rid of because I think they're useful sometimes. But I stuck them at the end because we'll just insert them when when appropriate.
Okay, now you substituted calcium. Why did you how did you come up with this calcium chloride that may be allowed?
That was similar to what was included in the Weston and the Lincoln.
Okay,
So no sodium chloride and,
Within your number. And
right, but
then,
calcium chloride is okay.
I
Should
don't
it
think-
also
I-
mention something about the salt brine, which is what Ken had suggested a while back?
yep, you can put that in there. Just give me the specific language you want to put in, and I'll put it in right now.
The commission recommends a pre-treatment of salt brine.
Prior to any application of any de-icer,
Yes.
No, no sodium chloride.
What'd you say?
It
Or
says no
just-
sodium chloride shall be used within 25 feet of a wetland. Okay, so what happens?
No,
with the
Haley, did you say?
area?
Hold on one sec, Jim. Did you say required or recommends?
I think recommends, just because I think it's probably a kind of a case by case thing and whether they can or not.
If you're gonna do it case by case, then I don't know if I would put it in there.
I
What'd
feel
you
like
say?
we're not, I feel like we're not sure of how these things are being applied and I mean, just throwing in salt brine, where is that used? I mean,
yeah,
So-
is that ever done?
How
Do people
how
put
does
down
that get
salt
through?
brine? Yeah,
um,
So
okay,
why
I-
don't you, if in the event that, I mean, here you have a structure.
can we
Some-
do one thing though? Can
Say
I
again?
write down the areas that I think, we can follow what you've got here, but then I would like to research a little bit the salt brine thing and the calcium chloride to see if it's okay to just put it the way we've got it. Is that all right?
Of course.
So we'll keep it whatever way you want, and I'm just gonna, before we finalize this thing, we'll get it almost finalized, except if there's any unanswered questions. But I'm gonna take that approach. Sodium chloride. Use. And salt brine. Because I think with the salt brine, they were using it in for a specific application. Okay,
Why don't you can table this until, you can go back to put this back under other business. And
no,
do-
I think we should keep going, and if there's any unanswered questions, we'll figure it out.
Wait,
Maybe come up, and then at the next meeting, we can just, okay, those last few corrections.
okay, so you're going to vote to approve this now, and then and if you have any other additional comments or corrections, you're gonna do it next week, next meeting.
Yes,
Hey,
can I make that motion then?
I just re-forwarded that email too from Ken with all the information about salts and salt brine and whatnot.
oh, you did?
Yep.
Okay, well, I'd like to see it, I guess, first. Where'd the screen go?
Haley, you just forwarded to all of us?
Yeah,
Yep.
I just hit reply all just to
We
bump
got
it up.
Yep, we got it.
Are you through with those? You didn't go through the whole thing. Rebecca, I don't have I don't have the thing in front of me anymore.
Jimmy, do you want us to go through each one?
Yeah, well, I want to, you only went to 40, right? There was 60 something conditions.
There are,
There's no other changes?
the new and improved one has 45. The one, yeah, that's it. No, it's new and improved and slenderized.
Okay,
It's lean and mean.
okay, so you're saying we're all set.
Yes.
Well, what happened with the two that we were talking about today, Rebecca? The one with the wells, the well distance, and what was the other one now? Remember this morning? Okay, it was number 60. No on-site work, no on, you must have deleted it.
Yeah, number 60 in the old one, yeah.
Rebecca, if
Okay.
you're trying to talk to us, you're on mute.
And then
Jim, it was in the old one. It's not in the new one.
it's not in the new one, right?
Right, Jim, I deleted that one. You're
Okay,
right, I deleted the irrigation well one.
And what
And
about-
the fertilizer one, I just made more succinct. And eliminated that no phosphorus
did
phrase.
you eliminate 57?
No,
Okay, so,
that's one of the ones that has a distance in there that I think
right,
each,
right.
you should fill in. I think we'll leave it blank in the standard and you guys will end up filling it in each time.
It's new number 44. Is that right?
No, well, I don't know. I don't,
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the new one, Jim.
yeah, I don't have the new one.
Rebecca sent it this afternoon at about 5 something.
Oh, well, that's why I don't have it. I didn't check. Okay, you want to leave, that doesn't make sense to leave it blank though, does it?
You can leave it with a number in there, and then in the event you come across a project that you do not feel that would be applicable, you can change it.
We were just talking about it, Jim. We're saying we should, every time we issue order of conditions, we should look at these things.
No, I know, yeah, I know that, I know that. So you've got the 40 feet in there?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay with me. You want to vote on this?
I just made the motion.
Okay,
I'll
who
second.
seconded? Did someone second it?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor? Peter,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm okay with it too. Okay,
Thanks
then-
again, Rebecca.
That's good work.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like the headings especially.
I know. It's
Makes a big
compelling
difference.
compelling reading, Peter. Compelling.
When you have 60, when you have all those items, it helps to group, and actually grouping them temporally makes a lot of
Yes,
sense. People,
yes.
You know,
okay, next item is 10 Broadway.
all right.
What time is it? 2 minutes.
Hey, good evening, John Ogren, Hayes Engineering. I think the last meeting, we had submitted some revised plans that were basically the same layout that the commission had seen. We had added basically some more detail, refined the utilities, grading, and such. I think one of the things that we did discuss was the winter maintenance, snow removal, and ice control practices. I had forwarded that on to the commission, I think the day after the meeting was. So, and also the commission had asked for a snow storage plan designating the areas of snow storage. I think that's really the only information that the commission was looking for us to provide.
Okay. Do you have that on a plan that we can look at?
Yeah, it was in, I resent the stormwater management. I will share it. And within the stormwater management report, we had added in this winter maintenance, snow removal, ice control practices, which basically goes through removal of snow, precautions to take, and then also goes through the use of sodium chloride and calcium chloride on the paved areas, kind of abrasives, sand, and kind of walks through when you might use sodium chloride versus calcium chloride. It does talk a little bit like what you guys were talking about, Brian, like you can take the sodium chloride and mix it in with a solution of the calcium chloride. So there's different ways that you can apply this and try to minimize it. In here, it talks about, the primary way to remove snow is essentially plowing it off of the paved surfaces. And if you attack it that way and keep the paved surfaces clear, then the amount of salt that you would need would be minimized. And then this is our snow storage plan, designates these areas with the dots as snow storage. As you can see, they're small areas, but they're spread out throughout the whole site. We kept those snow storage areas best we could outside the 100-foot. Nothing in close to the river or the bank area. The only place where we encroach into the 100-foot riverfront area is in this area here. It looked like that was a potential area that we could have a decent amount of snow storage, but it's still considerably, it's fairly far away from the actual resource area.
Okay. Okay. Who has anyone have questions?
Hey, John, you mentioned last time that you were hoping to close because you have ZBA tomorrow, but we just got the memo from Tim in engineering today. There's just a few more things to clean up. Are you still anticipating that you're gonna have that finished for tomorrow night?
With the ZBA, I don't know. I think at least at a minimum, we would like to at least represent to the ZBA tomorrow night that we're very close to closing up with the commission. And, if really we agree that the only outstanding item would be addressing the comments that the DPW just issued this afternoon.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, I guess my question is that a fair statement, as far as the commission feels?
Yeah, I think we'd want to see how you respond. Is that what you were saying, John?
Yeah, I think what we're getting at is that we wouldn't necessarily close the public hearing tonight. So
Right.
the responses could be submitted to the commission. Majority of the comments, I'm not quite sure why they came back the way they did, because it was not had discussions with engineering over specifically there was 2 drainage. Everything else was pretty I don't think it really has any impact from a commission or the resource area or the buffer zone.
Well, it says that the plan doesn't include the stormwater pollution prevention plan doesn't include stockpile locations. That could be of interest to us.
True. Yeah, and that's during construction. Yeah, like I said, I'm not suggesting that we're not going to submit that information to the commission, but that's basically what's left.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna continue this then to the next meeting. Is that what you're saying?
I think what he's asking for is that our feelings that we want to continue the next meeting, but I mean, really just to hold it open and see what the response is to the DPW's comments on that plan. So that I think that so that just to confirm there are no other open issues.
Well, I don't know of any right now. Does you guys have any that you can think of?
I'm sorry, did you ask the commissioners that or Rebecca or both?
Everyone.
Okay.
I think he's touched upon everything else that we were asking for and looking at last time.
Yeah. Okay, so I would think that we could just leave it open until next meeting. And then like you said, John said, you can get us a copy of, what the decision was, and we can just see at the next meeting whether we need to incorporate something or we should be able to close it at the next meeting. Does that sound reasonable?
Sounds good to me.
And our next meeting is the day after Labor Day. It's September 5th, right?
September when? I'm sorry.
5th.
Yes, okay, good.
Okay. Is everyone happy with that? So you want to
Yes.
move on, John? So John, we're going to continue this until the next meeting. And you're going to supply any additional information that you have, and hopefully it's going to be nothing that's going to create a problem for us.
I would expect that would be the case.
Okay. I guess we're done, John.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Night, John.
Okay.
Good night.
The next item is 2 Angem Lane.
Yep, I'm here.
Where are you? Okay, there you are. So what did you want to, what is this?
We
What do we get for?
we just we started the project relocating the shed, but we just won't be able to fulfill, the requirements in the enforcement order, because for the second part of the project, which is related to, removing the turf, do some planting, there are two requirements in the enforcement order. First of all, it requires there's no standing water in the pond. Secondly, it requires us to get all the work done by September the 30th.
Okay.
Right now, the pond is still full of water. I mean, if you look at the historical data or the precipitation in our area, from now on, the monthly average precipitation is only going to increase. So with that, I see a diminishing possibility that we will be able to fulfill this requirement, both the requirements, by September the 30th. So that's why, I'm showing up here again to ask, your professional opinions on what should we do in this case.
Well, the reason why there had to be no water in the pond was so you could build the wall, wasn't it? What was the reason?
That was a part of the discussion. There's also concerns about, disruptions on the existing habitats, I think.
Rebecca,
What would your proposal be? I'm sorry, what?
no, yeah, Peter. I was gonna ask Rebecca to pull up the existing enforcement order so we see what it says he should do and what he's not when he's proposing. Do you have that handy, Rebecca?
Yeah, that sounds like a good.
And when did we issue it?
December the 12th of last year. If I
December, okay.
Yeah.
That's been a while.
Yep. Yeah, but it also has a requirement that we cannot get everything done when it's frozen.
Okay, so this is,
You guys see that?
yeah,
All
Yeah.
right, so here's your sequence.
And my recollection is that we came to this sequence based on our discussions with the property owner and the engine and the wetland specialist. So this is something that was agreed to.
Yes, we agreed, but right now, just we won't be able to do it with this. I mean, as long as you guys are okay with us, start to do the job, with
where are
water.
you, where are you at? Have you started the project?
We started relocating the shed, and the shed has been relocated. And then the second part of the project is related to planting and also removal of the turf.
Okay,
And then and this part of the work is required. If you look at if you look at the second paragraph, the second to last sentence line, it said, at a time when there is little or no surface
yeah,
water visible.
visible within adjacent portions of the natural wetlands.
Yep.
Well, staging just. Okay,
Was this just a timing issue?
Oh, well, there's a timing issue. There is also, concerns about it. If we are able to follow the requirements on the enforcement order.
yeah, we understand. I understand that. So basically, you're here because you don't think you can make the time frame. You're looking for some relief in that respect. So,
Or we can ask for, an okay for us to, to start to do that job, even with water, with standing water.
yeah, you're ready to do it with standing water. I'm trying.
I don't know. I mean, that's why I'm here. I want to hear.
Well, I'm trying to remember at this point why the standing water would have been an issue. Temporary staging area. Let me just give me a second to look through this for a second. Do you have a contractor lined up? It's a landscape person you need at this point then, right? You move the shed.
That's
the
right.
only thing you've done is move the shed.
That's right.
Must have a landscaper set up for this, right?
That's up to Steve, the previous owner, because he's actually doing the work,
Well, it may be up to Steve, but it's still your responsibility. So
That's right.
Have you contacted Steve to see when a person could even show up? Or
He was gonna
duration?
show up in the meeting, but he's not. For some reason he didn't make it. So that would be a question for Steve. Yeah.
And it'd also be a good thing to know what the duration is, how long it's going to take him to do this. I think why don't you come back to us with a schedule of what you feel is going to happen so that we realize that you actually can't make the deadline. I didn't think it was that much work that you.
I mean,
and we can look at it again as far as the water goes and see what the issue is with the water. I'd go out there and take a look at it and see what the issue is with the water. If you can do it with the water and complete it on time, that would be the thing that you should do. So get a hold of it's the previous owner that's paying for it, right?
Yeah.
Get a hold of him, find out what the duration is and when he had planned to start it.
My question for the commission, for the commission would it be okay for us to start the work right now if we are, or you prefer that we get an estimation of the duration?
No, you just said you didn't know when you could start it.
I don't, because it's not, we cannot based on the requirements of the enforcement order. But I mean, if the commission is okay with us to get started, I would prefer to get it done because this thing has been dragging on for so long.
Well,
Your question is hypothetically, assuming a contractor were ready to go tomorrow, would it be okay with us? Would it be
Exactly.
okay with us if you did, right?
Exactly. Yes.
That's a reasonable question.
and the only
I
reason why you're
think
asking
the
that
issue is just that the wording says that and pond wetland shall be conducted in the spring or summer of 23 at a time when there is little or no surface water visible within adjacent portions of the natural wetland.
No, we get that, Haley. That
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah, so it's either a question of wait until there's no surface water or just start.
Well, wait a minute. The way Haley just read it, if there's some water in there, they should be able to still do it. Read that again, Haley.
When little or no, it's right there, Jim. Can't you see it?
Yeah, when there is little or no surface water visible, but the
Oh,
problem
you
is
can't
that
see
hasn't
it. I just
happened.
realized you can't see it.
Okay.
Yeah, little or no.
Well, it's not little. There is a full pond here. It's that if there is a little water, trust me, I'll get it started already. But the pond has been full for ever since I don't know, the winter time, Like we barely get any time when the water table is low this year.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think the issue is we don't really recall why we put that requirement in.
And also concerning the planting, like if we don't get it in right now, there would be risk of the plants won't be able to root before winter comes, so they won't be able to successfully overwinter. So that's going to cause additional damage to both economically and ecologically. So that's why personally I prefer to get it done. But this sentence here is, it's a little concerning to me.
Mm. I think I'd have to see the pond to be able to answer you. I'd like to see how much water is in the pond.
I can just it looks like that some of these, the construction sequence could certainly be started or done, and it wouldn't matter whether or not there was water in the pond. So maybe at a minimum, because Jim, if you want to go out there and take a look at the pond, he's going to be even more crunched for time, waiting for a site visit and then for us to follow up.
Yeah.
So I'm just concerned that if the deadline is it's already gonna be hard to meet anyway. But I don't want to hold him up any further while we go take a peek. So I think it looks like there are certainly things that could be done that the water level would be irrelevant for. Even, for instance, number one, stake the locations of the wetland corners. It doesn't matter if there's water in the pond to do that. It sounds like, and I didn't write this enforcement order, but it sounds like most likely the water had to do with, Jim, what you were talking about. It says remove retaining walls, number 10, remove retaining walls, stones along the length. That's probably what you guys were hoping for, that not to be in a wet condition. I can understand that. So maybe we can go through 1 through 9. If this is a sequence, that would be started first anywho. So he can get started on 1 through 9, and then you guys can go out and take a peek and then decide whether or not you think 10 through 14 should be done now, this fall, or whether or not you think that should be delayed to the spring. And whatever you end up deciding, we'll have to get him something written so that he has it in his record. We have it in our record if you guys are going to end up extending the deadline on the 10 through 14.
Well, that sounds good. Because I think you're going to end up with wherever your new wetland is in relation to the pond. That line is probably where you're going to have to stop, so no water gets into the area that you're trying to turn into a wetland.
That's right.
So you're going to be coming from far away from the wetland and going back into the wetland with your grading, correct?
Yes.
And so,
There's, yeah, I mean, definitely.
I think that creates a lot, I think it makes it a much harder job, but you know, like Rebecca's saying, that is probably the way it should go.
I mean, we started on some of the job that is in the, related to the first part of the relocation of the shed.
Right.
It just,
Right.
the second part has the specific requirements. That's why we paused.
Yeah, I know
yeah.
it's been a wet summer, July, and there is a lot of water.
I mean, as long as the, commission can give us like some kind of written order or, statement saying that we can proceed with the, the enforcement order, we are happy with it to go ahead and do it.
I'm thinking about this now. You're supposed to take the stones out and put them up further, right? Make a wall further back. Isn't that what you were doing? Or have I got that wrong?
No, the stones, a lot of the stones are now under the water.
The stones are under the water.
Yeah. And
Okay,
taking out the stones also would
It says
leave.
remove retaining wall stones along the length of the proposed wetland. That's that interface that I was talking about.
Rebecca, I just realized this was an attachment to the enforcement order, and this is what Libby had prepared.
I think so. I think that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the actual form itself just said refer to the narrative. And then there is a narrative, and I can pull that up, and that's what talks, I think that was
It
the,
refers to this.
yeah.
It also says,
And it has a similar description, and in addition, it has the deadline of September the 30th, if I
I think
remember
that's where
correctly.
you clipped it. I think you're right. I think that's where that language was clipped that you included in the email.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
That's on page. It doesn't have a page number, but it's right on top of attachment A.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that I think you guys have a good plan that, and I'll just reiterate what I think you said is if he can get started on 1 through 9, you guys will do a site visit to determine whether or not 10 through 14 can be done soon. And then in the event it can't because of the water level, if the stones are under the water and you guys think it's a better idea to wait, then maybe you want to grant like a year extension for 10 through 14 or whatever you want to do, but we will have to do that in writing so everybody knows. So why don't you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So why don't you schedule a site visit, and maybe some of the 1 through 9 can be done prior to the site visit. I know you said you've started some of it. I don't know how much is, but that way you can at least check some of these things off as you guys have seen them. And then you'll have to come back on September 5th. You guys will have to decide whether or not you want to grant an extension for the remainder, or whether or not you think it's okay to get it done, or if there's anything else that you need to include.
it all sounds good. Except for when I foresee that I think a landscape guy that you get in there is gonna have to get that whole thing done in one shot, or else he's gonna have a big mess up there. I think that, I can't, I'm trying to picture someone getting back into where that interface is between the wetland and the upland. Get in there with equipment and get the stones out, and then you're supposed to reuse those stones as a perimeter in another location. So I think you should go, just like Rebecca's saying, go 1 through 9. I'm gonna come out there and take a look at that this weekend, if you don't mind, and see how high the water is. And if it's that bad, if it's that bad, I don't think I'd wait till next spring. Because I think that there's gonna be a lot of erosion to deal with. If you start it and can't complete it, and then it's open for the winter, that you're gonna have to stabilize it. So I'm okay with going, I don't know how anyone else feels, but I'm okay with going through 1 through 9. I want to take a look at it this weekend, and then I'll give a recommendation as to if I think you should go start 10 through 14 or wait.
That sounds like a good plan.
And then I mean, if we have to give you an extension, we'd be better off to get you an extension so you can properly put the stuff in there without dealing with the water. So I'm not opposed to giving you an extension for that reason. I think you'd get a better job out of it. Does that sound okay to Henry? I mean, does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay. I mean, I frankly, I don't want the extension. I just want to get this work done, you know. I mean, it's just but I agree with you, you know, now that we are
Well, you
doing,
still have to, you're still gonna have to maintain it for 2 growing seasons, I believe.
yep,
You don't,
that's
want-
right.
you want to make sure you do install them right and in the right locations.
Okay, are we gonna have a written statement for this, you know, decision?
The decision we're making right now,
Yes.
um,
You
I
don't,
would
you don't need
prefer to
anything
have
else.
one.
We're telling you that we're gonna talk about this on September 5th and decide then if you, about the extension. What,
Well,
I'm not
Well,
understanding. what you-
I want to get an okay from this group, you know, for us to proceed with the, you
uh,
know, with the second part of the work, because
What the,
you're not starting on the second part. What are you calling the second part of the work?
the second part related to, you know, removing the current surface and replanting, you know, establish a, you know,
Right, that's the part
new
that's,
land.
that's the part that's iffy with you must have a lot of water in that pond now from covering the stones.
There are a lot
And
of water.
you've got to get back down to that grade. So I don't recommend that you do anything with the excavation part of it until you know that you can complete it
Okay,
in a
but
short period of time.
1 to 9, if you look at, you know, like 8, or maybe not 8, like 9, it said, you know, removing existing.
Remove the mulching plants, yeah, okay, that's okay. You're gonna take them out and heal them in so that you don't lose them if you're trying to reuse them.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are a couple bushes, other, you know, there are 2 bushes left, but, and then you know, everything else left is the turf.
I'm standing with what I said. Do you agree with that, or do you want to come to some other way to do it? I'm saying, go ahead and start, go 1 through 9. I'm gonna come out there Saturday or Sunday. I'm gonna look at the pond, see how much water is in there. If you've got a landscape guy that you can
Uh,
get out there, all
I
the better.
I
Just
prefer not.
discuss it.
I prefer not to start with. I prefer not to finish everything. You know, 1 to 9. If that's you are asking, or you ask me to start with, because like, for example, you know, placing a dumpster, you know, at the end of my driveway, I don't want to do it right now because that thing gonna last for the whole duration of the project. You know, if we are not doing anything with it, you know, it's just gonna take too much of my space at this point, right? I mean, we started on 1 to 9 already. So are you asking me to
So
finish?
do you have the shed done?
Yes.
Fair level grade? So
Yeah.
the shed is really the only thing you've done.
Okay. All right. Then I'll just wait for your, you know, site visit on over the weekend.
Did you do number 5, remove and transport shed to a new location?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and then you get down to the dumpster. Remove former shed gravel pad and,
Well, for the
Sorry.
most part, we are done with that, you know, because we are digging deeper, we realize, you know, we should there are standing water around, so we stopped.
all right. So now you're basically saying you either want to wait and do it, or you want to know if you can do it in the water.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do it in the water. You better get your landscape guy out there to give you an opinion on that. And then we'll decide.
Okay.
I can't make that decision, so, get the guy that you're gonna have do the work. And we'll have a meeting with him on our pre-construction site walk. See what he has to say and what his recommendation is as far as working in the water, or if he can even do it.
Okay.
And you can do that as quickly as you can, and we'll talk about it at the next meeting.
Okay, I'm fine with it.
Is that now we've changed the plans again? Is that all set? Because we're getting far behind here. Teresa, is that okay with you?
I'm not sure what you just agreed to.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing.
I
Can I
have no
just go
idea.
over it real quick?
He,
So
he's
he's gonna-
concerned.
Yep,
I think he doesn't want to start it and not be able to complete it. Henry does.
Well, I thought what we agreed on is you know, I will not be able to finish all 1 to 9, you know, before the site visit. You know,
Right. So
I'm gonna
yeah,
wait
so
until
1 through 9 is nothing, really. You've got the shed done. You've already got some of it done. So you've got the shed done. I'm more worried about where you've got to dig out the ground. You probably have to go down 2.5 feet at the at the edge of the pond. I mean, you got that wall there, so there's a
Yep.
little some work there. And if you've got water that's covering the stones, you must have probably 1.5 feet of water in there.
there is a 1.5 feet of water. I did the
And-
measurement this afternoon.
And so if you're gonna tell someone that they got to dig from zero, from the grass elevation down to the bottom of the pond elevation, and all that water in there, unless they can put a barricade across it so the water doesn't get into the area you're working, then you're gonna be working in mud. So.
Well,
makes sense.
in fact, in the area where the shed was originally located, you know, there is standing water in the area. So
My
yes, because
recommendation,
it was wetland.
I'll give you, this is what my recommendation is, that you get a contractor signed up. We will talk about it with the contractor and see what he thinks, if is reasonable for him to do. Because don't forget, they got to guarantee these plants for 2 years. And then we'll go from there. If he says, no, wait till the spring, then we'll wait till the spring. I'd rather do that than have all this work fail.
Can I just, Jim, when you're saying talk to the contractor, you're still talking about just 10 through 14.
Yes.
So let me just go make sure I understand this. I'm going to write this down. He's going to
Well,
do.
well,
he's gonna do
I'm
number
sorry.
one.
I'm sorry for my interruption, Rebecca. I don't think it's only 10 to 14. This is definitely including removing the, you know, clippings, existing, you know.
There's no reason why you can't remove clippings. Those are not going to be done by a machine. I would assume you can do those by hand, right?
I mean, what about the existing mulch and the plantings? You know, those are right. Everything we are talking about here is, you know, around the edge. Is like they are half. You know, they are right next to the water. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Well, of course you're going to hit water because it's filled wetland, so you can assume that there's going to be water. So we knew this the whole time that this is what was going to happen.
Right.
And that the construction sequence was to remove material placed in wetland, so you can assume that there would be some wet conditions at some point in time.
Yeah.
But I understand that removing those rocks under the water table there in the event that you attempted to pursue that, we would probably have to put some additional measures in place, like a turbidity curtain or something else. So I agree that perhaps pausing on that particular work makes sense if the rocks are indeed underwater, and or, as Jimmy's suggesting, your particular contract may have some method that he could do that. And I don't know that answer. But being very specific, number one, staking, I think we can do that and meet September 30th. And
I'm not thinking that.
erosion controls, I think you can certainly do that. And then scheduling the meeting, I think what Jimmy's saying, he's going to do a site visit, and we'll take number 3 and wait till your landscaper is ready. But still, we should be able to accomplish that, right?
I'm not saying that I'm not gonna do it. I'm saying that I want to get an okay from the commission, you know, so that we can start the work. Because in the enforcement order, the removing, you know, existing planting part is prohibited, you know, when there is when there is standing water, you know, in the area. So that's what I'm asking.
All right, so you can do it. Are you guys okay if he stakes the locations of the wetland corner with water?
Yep.
Okay, so let me write it down and I'll put this in the letter.
That's right. Yes.
So you're cool with number 1. All right, what about number 2?
Yep.
Number 3?
Was there a number 3?
There's a
Yeah.
scheduled pre-construction meeting.
There
Right.
is?
Yep.
In the
Okay.
pre-construction meeting, you want to make sure that we have the site contractor with us for that meeting.
Right, but I think the point being that that's irrelevant of whether or not there's a water table.
Oh, right.
Yep. So,
Right.
and the timing of that'll be different. He just needs to, all right. Prepare level gravel pad at new shed location. That's probably already done, right?
That is already done, yeah.
Yep. So that works. Number 5, remove and transport shed structure to a new location. Number 5 is already done.
That is already done too, yeah.
Number 6, dumpster waste. I understand that you may not want that to sit there not being used
Nope.
over winter. So I think that's reasonable, that if you don't, in the event that you pause on some of the other things, that goes with the pause. I think that makes sense. So we'll look at right now, we're not doing anything with number 6. We're gonna pause on that until you decide on the remainder.
Yep.
Number 7, remove former shed gravel pad and pile elsewhere on the property for future reuse. I don't-
We started on this already and then we paused because of the concern of this work.
Okay, so
Yep.
number 7, are you guys comfortable with him pursuing number 7, even though there's a water level in the pond?
Remove former shed gravel pad and pile. Well, where are you gonna pile it?
Well, we used, a significant portion of it for the new shed, actually.
Well, I think you can do number 7, sure.
Okay.
I think you can do number 8 too.
So remove grass clippings and debris material along edge of woods and place in a waste container. Are you guys comfortable with him doing number 8 with the water table in the pond?
Yes.
Number 9, remove existing mulch and plants from existing planted strip, upgradient of the fieldstone retaining wall and place elsewhere on the property for replanting. Are you guys okay with him continuing
Okay.
to do number 9 in the event that there is water in the pond?
Well, this is the one that I think is kind of an iffy one, because I think that the plants are gonna be much better off left alone until you actually need to do the work, rather than pull all the plants out and try to heal them so they're prepared for the winter.
So no on 9.
You didn't let me give him my explanation. Yes, I would say
I
no.
think
to-
I understand that.
Right. So I think now 9 through 14 is, we need to hear from your site contractor to figure out what the best thing to do is.
Can I just ask real quick, those plants that we're talking about in number 9, then it says to be placed elsewhere on the property.
Yeah.
Are those specifically going to be, are those specific plantings that you're going to remove, are those the same ones that are going to be installed under condition number 13?
Oh, I
This
would-
is mitigated planning plan, because if they're just going to be planted on the property somewhere else, they might be able to do that now. It's
yeah,
the
they
ones
could.
that
You're
are
right.
gonna-
You're
in
right.
your
Yeah,
planting plan area you're worried about, right? I don't have that information. Let me look.
Well,
Maybe you know
need to
that.
remove the topsoil and then adding additional topsoil, and then do the planting. I don't see how is that possible if we were going to remove.
Yeah.
You
Plus,
know,
don't forget, you're gonna have equipment in there and you can't put them in as obstacles for the equipment. Guys gotta be able to get in there and do the work. So I think we should leave them there and until we're ready to plant them.
So the plantings that you have for your plan are red maple, button bush, silky dogwood, pepper bush, and a roadside mix. So I don't think you're reusing the ones that you are to remove, where it says remove existing mulch and plants. Those aren't going to be reused in the wetland area. So you might be able to replant those now. Probably be more successful replanting them in the fall.
Yeah, all right, okay.
I don't know how deep your existing mulch is. But I mean, moving mulch around, we all move mulch around our yards. That one, I think depending on how. deep it is.
my only concern right now is that the existing plants actually delineate the water and the land area is functioning, to hold the bank together with the mulch. Right now, if I were to remove them, the water is gonna come right in, because there will be erosion problems. The stone walls are outside, and then the plants are right next to the stone walls inside, holding, using their root system to holding the soil together. So I would prefer not to remove those plants right now. If we end up having to remove it, I will remove it. But right now, if I remove it, there would be issue
Okay.
with erosion.
All right. So you're saying just move the existing mulch, and then the plants, you'll do that at the same time that you begin number 10. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like 1 through 9.5. And then the other half of 9 will be bunched up with
Well,
10 through
I
14.
want to get an okay, from the commission, otherwise.
So
Yeah.
we were they did 1 through 8, they already okayed for you to proceed. So that's at number 9. And so it sounds like splitting number 9, maybe to remove the mulch, but not necessarily the plants. And Jim can double check that over the weekend.
Okay.
Is that where, that's kind of a question.
That
I
sounds
mean,
great.
we are okay to do that, but we won't be able to deliver that, over the weekend because, there are only 3 days.
You
Right.
don't have to have that finished by Jim coming. That's the portion that
exactly.
will be done by the original due date of September 30th.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Sorry if I didn't make that clear.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you
So
for the
then-
clarification.
Yeah, no. So then that 1 through 9.5 will be done before September 30th. Jim's gonna come out to do a site visit and to look at this.
Actually, something more. It just came to me. As far as the fence, I would prefer not to do it right now because since we are not doing a lot of digging in the area, because there are a lot of ducks, around. Right? If putting up the fence is gonna cause them not able to, just.
All right. So it sounds like you want to just do all of this at another point in time.
No, I
Because-
want to get it done. If this is okay with the commission, I want to get it done.
They okayed installing the erosion control, but then you didn't really want to install the erosion.
Well, it just came to me that the ducks are around. Like if we put up the fence right now, this would cause an issue for them not being able to.
They fly.
True, but
What-
it's but it will cause a problem for them to get up, onto the area where they stay during the day.
Okay. So, what we're really looking at then is, Jim, you're gonna look inside of it. And you
Just
guys,
saying.
you're asking whether or not we can bump this out a year from beginning to end.
That's where I was heading at the beginning of this, because it doesn't seem to make sense. We're going all out of crazy sequence here, but just to try to help you out here, we're trying to work with you to figure out what the hell should be done. What do you want to do? Wait till next year? I mean,
He doesn't want to do that. He's already said that 4 times.
I want to get it done
He
seriously,
wants to
but
get it done. He
but
wants to get-
it's regarding the quality of the work. Seriously, let's put it this way.
he wants to get it done, but I mean, someone's going to have to be responsible that it gets established correctly, or you'd be doing it more than once.
I mean, someone should be responsible to this 30 years ago.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
I'm responsible
You
to
take
it.
that
You're
up.
responsible now because you own it.
Exactly. That's why I'm here.
All right. I'll say this now. I'll say that I will go with I would be fine with the original idea of doing 1 through 9.5 and waiting
Okay.
on the rest, or I'd be fine with just say don't do anything and wait till you're gonna have to wait till next summer, not the spring.
It'd be like a full year, probably extension. Because you're right, you're not gonna want to do it in the spring because that'll be really wet as well. Most likely.
Yeah, most
Maybe
likely.
not, but most likely, yeah. So you're now talking a full year, a full next summer season when it's dry, next fall season to plant. of
See,
2024.
See, that is a concern too. And what if this happens again next year?
But you know something, if whoever's getting you this site guy, and you can talk to him right away, maybe he can do this thing in a month. I mean, it can't be a big project. It can't be more than I would think a couple weeks. I think that would be a long time. So it might be worth calling him up and say, do you have someone? Is there someone you have in mind? What about Hayes Engineering? Why don't you ask Libby? They must know people. And they're Libby's, knows what's going on here. I mean, that's another option. If everyone's agreeable, we'll give you the 1-year extension. But if you want to really get the thing done, then do your research on your own and figure out who you can, contact someone to get a landscaper out here. I don't think you've even done that.
But the key here is that the commission is okay with me doing that, right? With us doing that.
Remember, he came to us asking if it was okay to do the work when there's surface water out there. That's the whole
Exactly. That's
genesis.
exactly the
That's
reason.
how we started 45 minutes ago.
You guys already agreed that you are okay with 1 through 9.5, or half of 9.
Yeah.
So you don't have to redo that again. You already said that's fine.
Personally, yeah, this thing's going round and round in circles. I want to get out of this thing.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is that you know, I understand you're asking a hypothetical question, and I think the response you got from Jim is it would be nice if we heard about from the person who's going to do the work about the feasibility of doing it. If we heard from the person who's going to do the work, the expert, that they don't see it as problematic and they seem to say it in an authoritative way, I guess I would feel differently than saying hypothetically, you find someone and the person says it's going to be terrible, and you say, well, the commission said you could do it because we said it at this meeting, and that so you can
Pete,
understand.
are you suggesting that the
I'm saying there's a little bit of both. That Jim's saying it would be if we knew if the applicant found a contractor who said, I think I could do this. I think I could get this done. Without, notwithstanding that it's not completely dry. That would inform my decision. Wouldn't it inform the others? Jim, would that inform yours?
Yes, it would.
So are you suggesting that contractor come to our next meeting to report back to us?
Or that we get some expert, we get the opinion about the feasibility of doing it from the person who's going to do the work. And I understand that means you got to go out and find the person. And if the person says, I understand the circularity of it, but I also think that it's unfair for us to say we're fine with it, even though it's quite possible you're going to talk to 5 people and they're all going to say it's nuts.
Okay, here's the last one I can think of is I'm not for putting the with the water that high. I don't think it's a good idea to complete the work. So I would say you should just wait. We'll extend it out another year. And if you get, I don't think you're ready either. You should have had your contractor lined up by now. And these questions could have been asked to someone else that's an expert in doing that. So we'll just extend it out in a year. And in the meantime, you find someone that's going to do the job, and he says he can do it right away, and the water doesn't bother him. Then you come back and we'll let you do it. How about that? Let's leave it at that. Is everyone okay with that? Can we just
I'm fine with that, Jim.
just
I think
arrest
that
you?
sounds reasonable.
Okay.
So we're going to give him till the next meeting though to find somebody to come in and talk to you, and then you'll do the extension through September 30th of 2024.
Yep.
So you're not doing it right now. You're going to wait to see if you're going to give them an opportunity to talk to someone first.
Yes.
Be clear. So
Yes.
you'll vote on it the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
Henry, you have your answer now.
Okay.
We don't want you to work in the water.
Well, apparently, because it's said in the in the enforcement order.
Have to get your hip boots on. Are the ducks still there?
A couple left.
Oh, you scared them away.
During
Huh?
the process, we destroyed a lot of wild animal nests. I can tell you that.
All right. Okay. Are we all done with you?
Yeah, I think so. Well,
Rebecca, you all set?
After all of that, I think that he's gonna try to find someone, and we're gonna come back on September 5th. And if he has new information, you'll review it. If he doesn't, most likely you guys will vote to extend it a year.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
okay. All right.
Thank you, Henry.
Yeah, bye.
We'll see you. Next item is North Ave. Is the applicant here?
Yes, Thor Akerley, wetland scientist and registered sanitarian with Williams and Sparages. Jesse Schomer, the applicant's attorney, and the applicant Dana Lopez are here as well.
Okay,
Rebecca, you want to take down what's on the screen?
yes. There we go. Oh, there's all the happy faces.
Nice to see everyone again.
Yeah.
So at
Is
the
Chris
last,
is Chris coming tonight?
he's not. No,
He's not.
at the last meeting, one of the members brought up a very good question about rodeo being used near a water supply within a zone A. We did a little more digging, looked into rodeo, talked to a contractor who specializes in the application of rodeo and herbicides, and we found, and we shared the label with Rebecca, but I realize you all probably didn't have a chance to look at it. But what the label says, and I'll just read it to you verbatim here, is it says, do not apply this product directly to water within a half-mile upstream of an active potable water intake, inflowing water, i.e. a river, stream, etc., or within a half-mile of an active potable water intake in a standing body of water, such as a lake, pond, or reservoir. This, so basically, this product is often used, on literally on water to treat aquatic vegetation. In this case, we're only applying it to upland. They're in talking with the contractor, their interpretation is that it's used near wetlands very often. It's generally not considered a risk to the water supply, and it's important to point out too that even from our site to the opposite side of Lake Quannapowitt, where it exits to the Saugus River, which is eventually where it makes its way toward Hawks Pond, that inlet to the Saugus River is 3,800 feet from the corner of our site, close to where the water would exit the stream on the property. So right there we're alone over a half-mile, and then just to the inlet to Hawks Pond, it's about 1.5 miles, or a little under 1.5 miles, I believe. And again, that only applies to the application of rodeo to actual surface water. Again, we're only in the upland here. And I think the other important thing we wanted to point out too, this is not a broad spray. No one's going in there with big nozzles and spray cans of this stuff. The way the invasive species management plan was designed is so that each plant is literally getting its own treatment. We're cutting the stems, treating it in the stalk and along the root system around the stalk. I'm sorry, not the root system, but where the stem is cut. So literally around that edge, and then in the stem. So even if you got a big rainstorm right after, not that they would apply it before a rainstorm, but the risk of it even getting to the wetland alone is pretty small. So again, we feel like there's a pretty reasonable level of safety with this, given the treatment and given what they're telling us in their product label. I think that generally, covers what I wanted to explain to the commission. I think that was a good question, and frankly, one that we hadn't really seen before. But because we've actually worked on a few projects where there is knotweed right next to wetlands, and no one's ever really asked the question, and I didn't really know. So I'm glad you all asked it, and I'm glad we looked into it a little more. And I hope the commission feels a little more comfortable now with this treatment. And again, I guess just to summarize and close out on this, is you can cut and remove knotweed, but in my experience managing knotweed, it's really not something that will die just by cutting it. You really need to do some kind of treatment. So I guess there is some potential slight risk that it enters the wetland, but I think with what we've seen here and what we've explained as part of the invasive species management plan, that I feel pretty good about the level of safety and the fact that this will actually eliminate the knotweed and provide ultimately a lot of native vegetation in the close to the wetland back there. So I hope that gives the commission, kind of enough information to, I guess, think about this. Believe this was the last main point the commission had. But if there are any other questions, Jesse, Dana, and I are here to answer any questions.
Okay. Can you, I want to go back to something to the very beginning, and not that this is going to make much difference, but we had, when this project first started, we had Rebecca go over to you guys and tell you, and you asked what the issues were going to be. And I think she told you that we're going to have an issue with 25-foot setback. But then you put your building in, didn't you, before that? When you put your building in place, was there ever a time where you had 25-foot setback from the BBW line? And why didn't you construct your building so that you met a 25-foot no disturb? And I don't really think that you can say that you got a waiver from the Board of Appeals, because they can't waive our requirements.
I believe the building itself is greater than 25 feet. I could be wrong on that. It's parts of the wall and I guess pavement. I don't have the site plan up right in front of me. That were within the 25-foot, and then I know the wetland line did change a little bit. Bit compared to the original plan. I know this is going quite far back, and I can't speak to the whole design process and what went into it. But I guess
I can pitch in and
Sure.
give some background to Jim. So for the record, Jim, attorney Jesse Schomer representing the applicant, and I was involved also with the permitting before the Zoning Board of Appeals. So the design of the project from day one, it always included some level of impact within the 25-foot to the wetland. And as Thor mentioned correctly, it's primarily clearing of brush. It's the retaining wall to make sure we have the ability to put in the structure where we're proposing it and have parking for the residents. The design of the building we came up with that with a workshop that was conducted with 2 members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I want to say 7 or 8 sessions. So it was fairly in depth. And these are in addition to meetings with the zoning board itself. And if I remember correctly, I think Rebecca attended 1, if not 2 of those. And we're talking, this is going back into last year. The interest that the zoning board had with this site was twofold, was really trying to provide some buffer to the wetlands in the rear of the site and respecting the 25-foot to the extent we could, but also creating a buffer to the street and creating a buffer to the abutters across North Avenue. So what we attempted to do in working with the Zoning Board of Appeals was to try to come up with a compromise so that we're providing some buffer to the wetlands, buffer to the neighbors, buffer to the streetscape, and create an environment that would be in keeping with the neighborhood, in keeping with the developments that are next door at 598 and 600 North Avenue, which are a similar distance to what we're proposing to the wetland resource in the rear there. So what we're trying to do in a nutshell was to be consistent and to be respectful to the extent we could within the site that was constrained in terms of the area that we had to work with and all the things that we're trying to get in on the site there.
Those
Okay,
other sites were previously developed to that extent, though, weren't they?
That's correct. I believe there was a single family house on the adjacent site. I'm not certain though. The commissioners have, I think you've all been out to the site, or many of you have, and I know Rebecca has a couple of times. I think it would be, I don't think anyone would disagree with the description that this is not a pristine, old growth, classic Massachusetts forest. This is a lot of invasive species, a lot of volunteer trees. It's really, frankly, kind of a mess. And I think what we're proposing to do here, I think it'll be an improvement to this area of town and how it looks.
Okay. I don't know, I guess I just have a hard time, we went through the process of trying to make sure that we were in on the right level so that everyone was happy when this thing was done. And I know that Rebecca probably, I know she would have told you that 25 feet is our limit. And that's not just a number we picked out. If you look at a lot of the regulations for working in the buffer zone and stuff like, they tell you that, between 20 and 30 feet is, if you go any less than that, you don't get any kind of real benefit. So that's our reason for holding 25 feet. And for you guys to infringe on that and then want to go down below and remove, which I don't have a problem with actually, but you're going to go and do more work right down up to the BBW actually to do what you're intending to do as far as eradicating the knotweed. So, I mean, unfortunately, there's nothing we're going to do about it now, but it's too bad you couldn't have stuck with what we asked for. I mean, we asked for it for a reason. We could tell you that we need it anyways, and we could have said we needed 50 feet. But it's just unfortunate. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Is my point, I guess.
Yeah.
Can I add something to this?
Yeah, if you give your name.
Dana Lopez, Wakefield Associates. I'm one of the owners of the property.
Yeah.
So just piggyback on what Jesse had some history. This originally started as a 4-story building that was approved from Mass Housing. And we worked with 1 full year with zoning board to reduce the units and reduce the height of the building to 3 stories. Even though the adjacent building is 4 stories, we agreed to reduce it to 3 stories to soften it to the neighborhood. In doing that, it actually made the footprint a little bit bigger. So that actually pushed us back towards the wetlands. So if it was left 4 stories in the beginning, we would have been further away. But it's just the way it evolved, and it was, like I said, a painstaking process for a year, many design changes, concessions on our end and on the zoning board's end. They worked with us diligently, but that's the history of it. It was originally supposed to be 4 stories, and the building next to it is 4 stories. So that's how we started with it. So that's how we ended up getting closer to the wetlands. It wasn't our intention to disregard the buffer zone. It's how it came to be agreed upon through the process.
Okay.
Jim, I want to add something too. I don't think we should characterize the invasive species management as an encroachment on the wetland. Frankly, the buffer zone right now really doesn't act as a valuable buffer zone to the wetland in very many ways, other than the fact that the area is stabilized and it's not eroding when you get big storms. But the reality of it is that this isn't an active food supply for any birds, any wildlife. The abundant growth of knotweed really limits the ability for any native species to live there. It's not really native habitat for anything. I know where things are closer than perhaps you'd like, but this is a really big commitment to get in there, treat the knotweed, remove it, eradicate it, and then plant it with the native species that we outlined in the invasive species management plan. I really do feel like that is a big deal, and that buffer zone will be a lot better than it is right now, to be honest with you, despite some of the encroachments.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, all that is great information because it supports your position, and we can, it's easy to address something when you have that kind of information. At least you can make a case for why you're doing what you're doing and why it's not going to meet the standards that we were looking for, which I don't think is a bad idea if you accumulate that stuff and put it down in writing so that we have a position. All right, I understand what you're saying. As far as the knotweed goes, you said, I think Rebecca, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there something in there about mechanical means to remove the knotweed? What would the mechanical means be? Do you remember that, Rebecca?
Yep, so I have the invasive species management plan in front of me and I can put it up on the screen if you want, but section 2, removal of invasive plant material from treatment area. 2.1 says manual, mechanical, and chemical control methods are all effective in removing and killing knotweed. North Ave, there's significant infestation along swaths of property, a cut stem. So yeah, so it just mentions that it is an effective method. I do think that I would like to talk about what happens between the wall and the BBW, not only starting from the very beginning of the construction and the sequencing of all of it, all the way through the long-term maintenance, because I'm not sure I have a full idea of what that area is going to look like in 1, 5, 10 years, because I know there's plantings that are happening behind the wall, which I'm a little concerned with about the timing of how are you going to do your invasive species management and also have plantings. So are your plantings going to disrupt the rhizomes? Because if you do it, you're the way I think that we got to, which was, you know, the cut stem and the dab, whatever, and you kill it, the surface, you still have the rhizomes underneath because we're not removing them. So then when you dig in to dig the trees, what happens there? So I'd love to have a real good idea of what's happening in that zone, if you don't mind, because I'm not entirely sure I understand the sequence and then the long term, what's happening.
Yeah, that's a good question, Rebecca. Yeah, so just to touch on the section 2.1, that's just a blanket statement. You know, these are all effective, but this treatment specifically down there is hand removal. We're not proposing to bring down machines in there. I believe 2.1.3 says everything will be hand picked. Stems are being cut. You know, we're not disturbing.
Can I interrupt for 1 second, Thor? I'm sorry, Rebecca. Can you pull that up so we can see it? Sorry, thank
Or
you.
Thor, if you have it if you're faster than I am, by all means.
We'll see who's faster, I guess.
Oh no!
Thank you.
Oh wait, he had it already.
It's not fair. That's right.
Yeah. So you can treat. I guess I can start off by saying you can do the first treatment in the fall. Generally, you want to treat the knotweed when it's flowering, which is right now, frankly, in early August, and then ideally in the spring. So I think I believe we cover it 2 times per year in that first year. So hand cut, treat, and then remove the stalks. And the following, let's say we do that in the fall, you know, if we did that today, you'd come back in the spring, check everything, hand pull the seedlings. Once we believe that there is some ability for the area to accept the shrubs, you know, we would install the native shrubs. And the idea isn't to disturb the whole site so that the rhizomes spread. The idea is that the knotweed needs something to compete against it. And frankly, nothing really can compete against it unless it's being, you know, actively managed. So, you know, while the treatment's going on, it doesn't make sense to plant in this fall. You know, I think after we want to at least run through a treatment in the fall. So yeah, and here it says at the end of the first treatment season. So, you know, we'd be planting something probably next fall after the first removal season, let's say next year. And the idea is that the knotweed would be fairly controlled at that point. You'd pretty much be left with stalks and, you know, likely some smaller ones shooting up out of the ground from the rhizomes. And really the goal is, you know, get native stuff in there, get the native seed mix down, get the native shrubs in, you know, have this knotweed compete against something that's not under stress like the knotweed is because of the active treatment. You know, and then again, this area will be monitored, you know, for I believe it's 5-year monitoring period. So after the plants are in, you know, there's going to be continual effort to hand remove all the knotweed around the natives. And during that whole time, the knotweed, you know, rhizomes are being further stressed and they're not able to, you know, grow as fast and as crazily as you folks have seen them do. And you know, we've all seen them do. So again, that's really the idea, I guess, sequencing wise. Again, it kind of depends. I think you don't want to treat it In the late fall, there's not as much of a point to it. Just in my experience, you know, it probably makes sense to start in the spring. So whenever the project starts, I don't know when that, you know, may be. If it's in the fall, let's say, you know, it probably, and I don't think, you know, it really makes a huge difference, because it's a 5-year period no matter what, you know. So that area back there is going to be under some level of monitoring and review for that 5-year period. So I guess sequencing wise, again, it's tough to say exactly how that would go. But again, we're not really bringing machines back there, so that, you know, I guess it isn't really much of an issue for, I don't know.
So, you know, I've seen some
Construction.
pictures. I've seen some pictures of this, and it looks like it's like a big root ball that the thing sprouts off of. So do you kill the root ball itself? Or you're just killing what comes up?
So you're cutting the stem basically 3 to 5 inches above the ground, getting rid of the stalks and treating the base of the stem and the stem itself. If you can imagine like a stalk of bamboo, you're treating it with the herbicide, and it impacts the whole plant. So yes, I guess technically it does hurt the roots. But the idea is that it slows their growth, and
But
over time.
you don't take that system out then, right? You leave
No.
that in.
Nope.
Okay,
You
so
just continually treat.
But you're going to be removing, when you dig the trees in, you'll be removing that area of rhizome there, right? Because you're going to dig the tree in. And I assume you're going to, I just want to, I feel like there's a bunch of little things that I'm just not exactly 100% sure I know exactly what's going. So you're going to dig them out by hand, probably, because you have a landscaper back there doing that, right? And does the application of the herbicide affect the trees that you just planted?
No, so it's like I explained before, it's a very specific application in the invasive species management plan to literally the cut stem and inside the, like on the perimeter of the stem or base of the stalk, and then inside the stalk. You know, and so we don't go in there and remove the rhizomes, because the way knotweed works is even the tiniest little fringe, it comes back. So you treat it, and then ideally you get things planted at the end of the first treatment season, and over time the knotweed will die off.
okay.
That's aggressive planting season. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. But all right. So can I also ask? So you said that then you're going to have native seed mix. So are you? I want to know what this is going to look like at the 5 years when the certificate of compliance comes up, right? So is that area between the wetland and the retaining wall that is now planted, and we've eliminated, hopefully, most of the invasive species? You now have a competitive native species there that are thriving, hopefully. And this is that area then to be left alone after that? Or are we still, or is the management company of the building intending on going through that space to be doing any type of mowing? Because now we're going to have native species, these trees that were selected so that they're visual from the parking lot, I assume, and the, you know, at least the crown and whatnot. So are we maintaining forever this space between the BVW and the retaining wall? Or after 5 years, is it going to run wild and whatever happens, happens?
I would say the intention is to let it become a buffer zone with what, you know, the native species that have taken over. Unless Jesse or Dana have any other input on that.
No, that's right, Thor. The intent, I know that the main plantings on the upland portion of the site, those will be irrigated, and I think that there will the ones down in the buffer zone will need to be irrigated for a certain period of time to make sure that they get established. But the idea is to let it, once everything is established, to let it go. And I think, you know, recognizing the difficulty of getting rid of this knotweed, and it's, you know, it's affecting all over the place, and it's spilled over into the legal world. There was a major case about it out of the Superior Court. Rebecca looks very eager about this one. She must have heard of it too.
I did. I saw that. I couldn't believe it. I think I forwarded it to you guys too.
Yeah.
Up in
Right here in
Pepperell.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're saying that the only foolproof way to get it is to go in with excavators and completely take out the topsoil, which obviously we're not proposing to do here. But I think it goes without saying, for something this invasive, there's going to have to be, somebody going back there and looking potentially for years to make sure that it's not coming back.
No, and I think that's great. And I just wanted to know that what we're looking at here, in 5 years, are they looking at a mowed strip with these planting and, mulch trees, or right? I just want to confirm that I wasn't sure what the plan was long term. So now I know, so that way I can write the order of conditions appropriately to include it that way. So after 5 years, that's what we're looking at, with maybe some other invasive management periodically. I don't know, but okay. I think that's it for right now. Do they do the invasive species management right from the beginning? Because timing is important, and when they start to dig out to do the wall and remove all that stuff, how do they feel like that mixing up all those? They're just going to manage it between the bottom of the wall and the wetland. It's a big it's a big project.
Yeah, it's tough because, like I said, it doesn't make a lot of sense to treat like late in the fall. I just don't know, I can't speak to when the project will start exactly. Like right now is the best time to treat it. So
That's the Japanese thing, I think they're talking about.
I think it probably makes sense to start in the spring, attack it then, do your second treatment, and at this point next year, and then look at planting in the fall, assuming everything, you're not going to get knotweed popping up between August, and significant amounts popping up between August and let's say September. So September is probably a good time to do those plantings if the area looks like it would be okay, which, generally that's what we've seen after that spring removal and fall removal, that the area should be able to accept the plantings.
I remembered one last question. I apologize, but I think the plans called for a limit of work line, erosion control line at the beyond the wall. But are we going to have a second one that's going to be along the wetland, maybe because it's the stream with the water, and it kind of goes up pretty relatively right at the beginning where the head wall is closest to the wall. I'm just thinking we're on the back. There's more of a transition, but in that particular area, I don't want to say it's steep, but it's relatively steep for this site. So are we going to have some type of barrier there in addition to the erosion control for the wall, but for when they're doing like just stomping around out there, which I understand, and removing all the debris and all that kind of stuff?
I don't believe we showed anything on the plan, with it being, again, with the knotweed, they're not coming in with shovels or anything. It's really just the planting that you're going to have any disturbance. We do actually call for the seed mix, and then also adding salt hay or straw, over any disturbed areas with that seed mix. If the commission really wants it, I suppose you could put something along the edge of the wetland, but I don't, I frankly, with just some hand digging for the plantings, I think it's probably okay, but that's just.
I think as we sit here and say hand digging, and then we all close our computers, and then what actually happens, and when people are out there, just going about their day and getting their job done, I think it turns out sometimes differently than what we're expecting when we talk about it here. So again, the conditions can say do include caveats, like in the event that we determine that we need it, we can add something in. I'm just curious whether or not you thought that might be beneficial to just put that in up front, maybe like a core roll or something, or whether or not you thought that there would be no advantage to that whatsoever. So that's why I was asking.
Yeah, I think it's a fair question, and if any other commission member feels differently, but I feel like with the silt fence, and I'm sure a mulch sock behind the wall, I just feel like with hand plantings, and shovels doing those plantings, I don't, and then the areas being strawed and seeded directly after, or ideally directly after you're disturbing anything. I feel that's okay, but again, can defer to the commission on maybe.
We can have an environmental monitor who decides that on the fly anyway. So okay, I just wanted to get an idea. Thanks.
Okay. Does anyone have anything they want to add? Any more questions? Do we have any more outstanding issues that we were concerned about?
Oh, I have a question. I'm so sorry that it's just me talking. The last meeting we talked about, Chris was gonna try to contact DEP to get confirmation from them about the application of the herbicide within the zone A. I also sent an email and there was it got forwarded twice. And the second person was on vacation. Supposedly he was back August 8th, but I haven't heard anything. Just, okay. I mean, I would love to have that.
to.
Yeah, you guys reached out too. So
Yeah.
I would love to have something and I know what you're saying about the label and I understand that it says that, but I think we'd be more comfortable just having that statement. I was just curious if you guys got anywhere on that.
We didn't hear back either. It's kind of it's tough to figure out who to talk to be honest there, specifically this question, but there's, certainly nothing explicit in the regulations that relates to zone A's, but
okay, so hopefully we get something before we issue the order. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it'd be great to condition something like that, but I see the hesitation in your voice. So
You said that, Rebecca, you said the person emailed that was forwarded to is back on vacation was back on August 8th. Did you get that same person's name, Thor? Do you
Yes.
know? And did you follow up with that person?
Are you asking if I followed up since then? The answer is no, I have not.
And what do you have that person's name? And Thor, were you directed to
Yes,
the
I
same
do.
were you directed to the same person? And can you follow up? Because I'll tell you, if I get a lot of emails, I tend to follow up because I want to like get rid of the emails. But
Yeah.
so maybe we need to harangue that person.
So, Thor, I can tell you the name that I have is Gregory de Cesar. That's who originally it went to Melissa Balcourt and then it was forwarded from her. She said, forwarding your inquiry to him as he's the contact for the application of herbicide to a water of the Commonwealth. So he's away at the moment. We'll return on August 8th. Sorry, Teresa. Nope, I have not followed up with that yet.
No, but maybe Thor can as well.
Yeah, I have that email address. I can you know what I can do? I can reply to this email and Thor, I'll copy you on it and say,
Brilliant.
do you have any more information? That way you also have I don't know who you guys tried to contact, but that way we're all
I'm
have the same
trying to find the
information.
name.
Yeah.
Trouble.
We can do that. Let me write that down.
Yeah, because at least that way, that person will be hopefully guilted into responding to you.
When we say waters of the Commonwealth, that applies to all wetlands, not necessarily just zone A's. And, I can tell you countless times that I've seen it applied directly adjacent to wetlands. I feel pretty good about them saying, yes, as long as you're not putting it in the wetland or in the stream. Again, even the rodeo label says you could literally put it in the stream if you wanted to because of the distance to this water supply. I'd hate to delay again. Could we make something contingent on at least getting a formal okay from DEP? Obviously if they aren't okay with it, we can just do a hand removal for 5 years and not treat it, but again, I think that's really just a procedural thing. Hearing back from DEP, if they say it's fine, then we'll do the procedure as we've shown here. Otherwise, we can't use it, and it's just a hand cut and remove. It's either one option or the other, depending what DEP says, no matter what. So,
yeah.
But if we want us to come back, we will. But I think at this point, it's probably. I mean, it has to be one or the other. But
Well, you may get a response from DEP quickly if you follow up. Maybe.
I doubt it. But maybe.
What other issues do we have? Can anyone think of anything? Are you looking to close this tonight?
Yeah, unless there's any other questions the commission has.
We have all our information from Bill, right? Has he had any input into this? Rebecca?
I don't have anything written from Bill, but I assume the stormwater management was approved under the ZBA process.
That's right.
I'll just have to get that in writing from Bill.
Okay.
I don't have that right now.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill's office, I think, I want to say 2 or 3 feedback letters, and we met with him, I think, on 2 occasions. So the stormwater was reviewed, and all aspects of civil engineering were reviewed by him.
Is it through the ZBA process?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So most likely, yeah. So then I would assume if it's all through the ZBA process, then they've come to some consensus on the stormwater. Okay.
Yep.
So are we looking to close the hearing?
If we close the hearing, then we can't get any additional information.
Well, they already stipulated that they're gonna get some information about this rodeo stuff.
I think our preference would be to close tonight, and I think it's a testament to the thoroughness of this commission and the great job that you do for your community that we're at the point where we're talking about the brand of pesticide that we're going to be using for this invasive species, which is a critical issue. I don't mean to downplay that, but it's been really thoroughly reviewed, and we thank all of you for your time. I think on this specific issue, I'm very comfortable and confident that Rebecca can craft an appropriate condition to handle, an appropriate process where we, one, comply with all Mass DEP drinking water regulations. Of course, that goes without saying. We're required to do that, whether you say it in your order or not. But creating a process by which we continue this dialogue. We're not going to start construction tomorrow or next week or even next month. There's still permitting that's ahead for us. And to keep Rebecca in the loop so that she can keep the commissioners informed. And if there's something that needs to change with the project, we can come back before you and seek a modification of the order if that's necessary. But I think what we've got so far is a good, robust process and a lot of good information to adequately protect this water source.
Rebecca, are you okay with this?
I mean, I don't see a lot of new information coming in the event we learn something from DEP. We probably could craft a condition. As you know, that's my least favorite thing to do. I'd like to have it all said and done before we do
I
that,
know.
but I understand. And if it's one small detail, I think most likely we probably could do that. I'm not vehemently opposed to closing. The only thing I would say is I would rather you don't necessarily discuss the conditions tonight. I think you should sit on it and think
that's
about what
fine.
the conditions
Yeah.
should be. You have 21 days no matter what, whether you decide tonight or you do it in 2 weeks, it's still 21 days to get it out the door. So I'd rather you sit on it and really think about what you guys want to say in the conditions, and then I'll hurry up and speedily type it up and get it out the door, as opposed to doing that now and I don't know.
So our next meeting is in how many days?
It's September 5th.
I know how many days. I know.
Oh,
Can we
sorry.
count? How many days is that? That's
3 weeks.
3
maybe?
weeks.
So, good point. Hold on.
Well, at risk of
it's 15 plus 5. It's 20 days, right?
No, it's 21 days.
21 days. Okay.
Oh, well, I would have 1 day extra for a holiday. So I'd have to get it out the door the next day. I'd have to have it stamped.
And could you do that?
Can I do that?
Yes.
Sure. Do I want to do that? Just kidding.
That's
Is
a
there
question.
is there any harm to then waiting till the next meeting to get that response from DEP?
To keep the public hearing open, not close it until then.
Right.
I guess my point is that it's either will be treated or won't be. The other process will be the same. But in the meantime, we can certainly look to see if DEP answers either Rebecca or I. And then obviously before you issue your order, we'll, we can, maybe that'll help inform that final decision, but I don't think we're gonna have any new groundbreaking information one way or another. It's really just, will we be able to treat it and more effectively manage the knotweed, or will it be just cutting and removing?
Jesse, do you agree that the 21 days because of Labor Day would actually be the 6th and not the 5th?
So Labor Day would be, so I'm just looking at the calendar. If I look like I'm looking away from my camera here. So 21 days from today would be 1, 2, 3. That would be Tuesday, the 5th, and that's the day that the commission meets, right?
Right,
Right.
but Monday, the 4th is a holiday, so that wouldn't count in my 21 days?
But it's not 21 business days, it's 21 days.
Right, it's just
Rebecca.
calendar days. No,
Yes.
so that wouldn't
Wouldn't do
factor
it.
into it. It only factors in if the last date falls on that holiday.
Right,
But
if it
you know,
was
and-
business days, but it's not.
right. So at risk of getting fired on the spot by my client who's on the Zoom tonight, could we agree we'll submit a letter if that's necessary, extending the board's time to issue your order, say till what would that be, September 8th, the Friday? Give you a few extra padding days.
Oh,
that-
Rebecca, unbelievable, so much time.
Should we say the 6th? Are we haggling here?
No, no,
Oh
no.
my God, yeah, that makes me so wildly uncomfortable. I feel like too many things could go wrong with it. That's my personal opinion. I understand that you guys have great intentions, but anything can go wrong with that. I would not want to do that. But it's
You
just me. You guys decide.
What's that? You don't want to,
I don't want to agree to an extension of the 21
oh,
days.
because it may, okay, I understand.
No, I don't even know how to do that. I feel like
No,
that's just
that's,
opening a door of messiness that I don't have time or desire to entangle myself with.
Right.
No
Well,
offense, Jesse. I'm
as
sure-
long as you vote by on the night of your hearing on the issuance of the order, I think you're covered, and we've been working with the commission for many months, I feel like at this point. So we're not looking to end the hearing and, with a constructive approval. We're looking to continue
getting-
working with you.
we're just getting to know you.
Just getting to know you, yeah. It'll have to be the next one that we continue this conversation.
All right, so after all that, what's the final decision? Are we voting on this tonight, or are we gonna wait 2 weeks? I need an answer from.
Rebecca, I'm just looking for the reg that says you have to do it within 21 days.
Is that you have to, yeah.
I have to issue it, which means it has to have a postmark. Which means obviously it has to be completed, written, stamped, signed, whatever, and in the mail, certified mail. By the end of that 21st day. And I don't like to.
Again, do you, I know you have these regs at the tip of your tongue. Do you know what reg it is?
It's under order of conditions when you, so going
Okay,
to
so-
general 0.04 or whatever it is. Thor, do you know it off the top of your head? I don't have my regs,
Okay,
in front of me,
I'm looking,
but
I'm
it's
looking.
under
I'll
the
look, I'll look.
general stuff. Yeah, I can do it too. Hold on. It's
Right,
somewhat
but if
based
they're
on the
still
code
waiting
of-
on if they're still waiting on other permits and whatnot, would it
It doesn't
not
matter.
make sense to just
Thinking the same
continue to
thing.
the next vote then and then start the 21-day clock so that we're not in that crunch?
Is it 05? Sorry.
Jesse, what do you think if we do with that? We'll sign it at the next meeting.
I think it's fine if you're signing it at the next meeting. I think we would like the hearing to formally close tonight.
Yep. Yeah, we can close it and then
Yep.
well, actually, if we close it, we've got 21 days.
Right.
We're on the
Which
same
is,
boat.
which is the next meeting, Jim, if we close it
Huh?
tonight.
So you guys have to write the conditions more or less tonight. If you close it tonight, you gotta do the conditions tonight. Because if you're gonna, I can't get it out the door. I have to have it out the 21st day.
I'm also looking to see if I can find the regulation,
Yeah,
Becca.
I think it's in 05, not 04. Sorry, I think 04 is definitions.
It does say that if the last day is a holiday, it's the it goes to the next day.
And so-
Not necessarily this one, but just so
So
everyone-
where are you?
I don't know where that I'm way past that now. That was just a random thing I saw as related to issuances. I haven't found the 21 days yet. Yeah, so it's 10:05 6 10:05 6.
6. Within 21 days of the close of public hearing, the conservation shall. The order shall be signed by majority, blah, blah, hand delivered or mailed. You know, it's interesting that the wording just says that we have to make a determination. But I understand what you're saying, Rebecca. And then says when it has to be mailed by certified mail. Doesn't say when it has to be mailed by, it just says the determination has to be made within 21 days.
So in 6 number 2 there, it says make a determination that the area where the work's to be done. I believe it says shall issue an order of conditions as well. If it meets
Oh, I'm
the
sorry, you're right. Number 2, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
The issuance date is the date I drop it in the mail. It's the same
Yep,
date as the.
It's 21, yeah. Yep. Yeah, she can't do it. She can't do it again, it can't be done that way. So we're gonna have to, I guess, I don't know what I mean, if we just postpone, extend the public hearing until the next meeting, but then we tell you that we're gonna make, good faith, diligent efforts to we'll discuss the order at the next public hearing, and then we're talking about days difference, right, Rebecca? So that you would, if we extend the public hearing until the next meeting, we discuss the conditions of the next meeting. Again, I'm putting you on the spot, Rebecca. How quickly could you then have that order ready?
Well, I mean, I don't typically work on Wednesdays, but I could go in on Wednesday, the 6th, and.
But how about the end of the week? I mean,
Typically,
you
I would
work-
I'd work on Thursday, so I would probably send it out the 7th.
Okay,
mean,
so that's a
we have a
difference
draft.
literally of 2 days, literally 2 days. So I don't know.
You would have to promise, because legally then, or whatever, that it would say that you had 21 days. from the-
Right, no, it's not. It says that we're going to act in good faith to try to do that. Right,
Okay.
we're not obligating ourselves. And so I guess I'm asking the applicant and their attorney if that seems acceptable to you. Because we can't do it. We're not going to issue it. We butt up against the 21 days. And so what we're saying to you is that effectively, although we're not required to, and we're not guaranteeing it, we're going to try our darndest to get it to you 2 days later.
Yes, I think that's fine.
Oh, okay.
We're,
Alright.
as I said before, we're not looking to push a
Right,
constructive
okay.
approval on
Yeah,
the
and
commission here.
Thank you. And the only difference is that we're keeping the public hearing open until the next meeting. That's all.
I think for that, I'm gonna need to get authorization from Mr.
Okay.
Lopez.
Okay, well,
I wonder if he's still on the call, if he can come on.
Hello, yes, I'm still on. I guess the only question I have is if it goes to the next meeting, then there's still another 21-day appeal period after
no,
that. correct?
technically, we still have
Yeah.
21 days, but we're telling you that we're gonna make diligent efforts to get it done within within 3 days, not 21 days. But we're not required to. But I know it's rich coming from a lawyer. We're saying, we'll do our best. Right.
Yeah, the only issue I have is we're trying to get a foundation in before the end of the year.
Mhm.
And the longer this goes, I still got to get permits. And I can't proceed even getting a foundation permit until the hearing is closed. So
Yeah, but what other permits do you have to get? What other,
I have to get the comprehensive permit,
when will you have that?
final approval. I can't do it without this
Right.
being closed.
Oh,
And I can't file for a foundation permit until this is, I can't even proceed with drawings until I know for sure this is gonna be closed, so. I'm saying if it waits till the next meeting and then another 21 days, now I'm in the beginning of October, I haven't even started anything yet, so, the likelihood of getting a foundation in this year, would be difficult at best. So I would rather not wait if it can be done,
I guess we're telling you it really can't be done.
it can't be done.
We're not gonna be able to issue the order of conditions unless we're ready to, on the same day of on the 21st day, because that's when we meet again.
Can't do that because I can't get a postmark that day.
There's no exception to that? I mean, it seems like must have happened before. Would you extend the meeting another 3 weeks?
well, that's what we normally would do.
Our next scheduled meeting is 21 days.
Yeah, what's
Right.
that? What is,
That's the 5th, Jimmy. That's the date we're
that's the
talking about.
5th. Hey, don't yell at me.
I'm sorry.
So doesn't it, didn't we say it automatically goes to the next day if it falls on a holiday? Or it's not a holiday?
The holiday's the
Day
Monday.
after.
So I
Holidays
think
the Monday.
the question that we're grappling with here is, can we extend the public hearing to that Tuesday? And the intention, as I understand it, and we're all operating under the confines of the honor system, we're dealing with each other straightforwardly here and in good faith, that the commission's going to talk about conditions at that hearing, and the intent would be to vote on issuance of an order of conditions that would issue later that week. So
That's exactly right, Jesse.
Dana, if that's acceptable to you, I think we're talking about having the order to Friday as opposed to Tuesday. So we're talking about a delay of a couple of days.
Okay,
So I think with that understanding, we're in agreement. Teresa.
That in writing?
It's all being recorded, I think.
I was just gonna say, they can just give
That's
out.
true. That's true. That's even better, right? Okay, so we're gonna do that then. Is that this consensus? Sounds like a good plan. Okay, so, no one on the board has questions, right? There's nothing
No.
outstanding? Okay.
Any other CMRs we want to go through tonight?
No. We love the CMR. We love the CMR. Come on now.
Okay. I guess,
And also, I guess
well,
we're gonna ask for your commitment to try to, again, and Rebecca will too, to follow up with DEP.
We will double our efforts on that.
yeah, you guys follow up on that. Don't make Rebecca do that. She's got enough to do. Follow up on that and give her the information,
Will do.
okay? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
okay, thank you, everybody.
See you next
Thank
month.
you.
Happy Labor Day, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Can't believe it's Labor Day.
It's not yet, so it's okay. All right, what's next on the agenda?
Yeah, let's go here.
Vote on order of conditions for 9 Woodfield Circle. I'm sorry, you're supposed to say that, Jim. I'm sorry.
That's how many jobs do you want? I can't get your name right. You're taking
All
away
of
my
them.
signs. I might as well stay home.
You are home.
Why don't you do
Jim, you are home, aren't you?
it? Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Just give me a gin and tonic. I'll be
Right,
happy.
right.
Okay, 9 Woodville Circle. What do we want to do there?
So should we look at should we look at our new order of conditions? Right.
Well, only which ones are we gonna look at? All of them?
The ones that we no, the ones that we just no, the ones
I
we just approved. We have to look at the numbers in section.
All right, well, I missed that. Okay, I kind of missed that meeting. So is that gonna,
What do you mean? We just voted on-
Today.
Oh,
What?
you missed the meeting on 9 Woodville Circle, you said. I'm sorry. So we can't discuss the order. We can't issue the order because you're not gonna be able to vote on it. Is that what you're saying? Peter?
I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, if you don't know. So are we up against when's
You
the
have
next-
to issue it. You have to vote on it and issue it, otherwise we run into the 21-day time
Right.
period.
We have no
Yep, let's
choice.
You
do it.
closed at the
I'm
last
gonna
meeting.
vote it. I'm gonna
You
vote
have,
it.
you have to trust your fellow commissioners, Peter.
I trust you. Well, no, because I went and I did the sidewalk, so I'm quite familiar with the property.
Okay.
So
So Rebecca, is there anything special? Should we look at the new order, the new orders of condition, order of conditions?
Yes, because you've now voted on the new standard, so you should
Exactly.
go through the
let's
standard.
look at
You should
that.
probably pull up the plan.
yes, could we do that just to see what the final plan? I'd like to just look very quickly what it was.
Yeah.
Yes. It's gonna take me a second because I have to
Mhm.
email the work computer to my home computer and pull it up on
What a
that.
great job you're doing, Rebecca.
Fabulous.
You're always trying to.
Thank
butter
you
me.
for doing that, Rebecca.
Yes, indeed. A thankless job, but we're thanking you.
Wait a minute.
Oh, I have something else I have to tell you. It just reminded me. What am I looking for? I forgot already. Oh, non-Woodville. Oh, it's probably in an old. You know what? Just pull up my email from last week or 2 weeks ago. For when it says for tonight or for Tuesday for 9 Woodville, and that'll probably be it.
Can't seem to find it.
All right, for Tuesday's meeting, check on 7/27, 8:56. That's the last I sent, I think, an email. Yep, revised plan. All right, so I sent it to you guys on 7/27 at 8:56 a.m. Someone else can get that faster than me.
You
And
think?
share their screen. I don't know, Thor was pretty quick.
7:27 in the morning, you said, at 8:50?
At 8:56 a.m. Hold on, let me do it this way.
I have the plan, but
I got it at 9:07 a.m.
right.
I
Okay,
got it.
maybe that's it. That might have been coming.
I
in.
have the plan, but I can't rotate it. I don't know how to rotate it.
Okay.
Does anyone else know how to rotate the plan? I have no
Yeah.
idea.
On PDF.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the left, on the bottom, the bottom where it says like page 1 of 1. Go to the left-hand things for the rotation. You see it?
No.
See, you see where it says page 1 of 1 at the bottom of your PDF?
For me, it's on the top. But that's okay.
Okay, is it on the top?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I got it to the left and the right. To the left of it, I have a bunch of icons, and one of them is to rotate.
Well, then why don't you do it?
How do I do it then?
Look at the attachment at that email.
Oh, you don't have it, Rebecca?
I have the email, but how do I share? Screen share? Share
It's on
screen?
top where it says share screen.
Oh, wait, is this it? Screen 1 here? Hang on.
There you go.
A diggity dog.
Peter, brilliant. Peter should host next time.
I think everyone should take a turn.
Okay, so where are we? Right here. Okay. So the trade-off here, as I recall, just was that we were going to portion of existing driveway to be removed. Okay, they were gonna take out the driveway
Yeah.
and we're gonna pretty much give them what they want.
but there's gonna be, no, they came back, they're gonna remove the existing driveway, and it's gonna be a net gain, a
Yep.
net reduction in impervious surface. Wasn't that
Right,
right?
and
Rebecca?
that's right. And what they're giving us, they're taking away driveway that's actually closer to the river,
Right,
what they're putting in. So we
Right,
felt good
exactly.
about that.
So
That was,
right. Initially they were keeping that, but then they
Mhm.
decided after our site walk to take it away.
Mhm. Okay.
So I'm looking at the standard conditions, a newer standard condition. And I'm looking at the sections that have to do with numbers, with the number of feet away. The use of pesticides is prohibited within 25 feet of a resource area. So is 25 feet what we want to say for use of pesticides? I'm looking at number 46 in the new and improved
Oh.
orders. Rebecca, that's what we should be doing, right?
You're a little ahead of me, I'm sorry. Yes, that is what you should be doing. I hadn't pulled it up. I was looking for. Sorry. Did you guys happen to see? I know I'm jumping backwards and I apologize, Teresa, but did you guys see the sample I sent you that went through when it was a riverfront project, that the riverfront standards and how they included that in the finding section? We can go back to that. So, because if you look prior to any of the numbers that there's of the new conditions, there's the finding sections and some
Yes. Well, I'm sorry. What about the finding sections, Rebecca?
talks about some of the examples that I sent you
Oh,
had it, for instance, all right, so I sent you guys the email,
yes.
and then the very first sample from Weston had riverfront standards in there and under the finding section, and it discussed how it met the performance standards for riverfront. Before I even got to some of the other stuff, I was curious whether or not you guys thought that would be something that you would want to include. So I sent that on, I think I have, oh, that's my
Yes,
inbox.
and I sent that again. That same order of conditions, the Western one, just at 5 o'clock today too, Rebecca.
When did you send that, Rebecca?
But Jim, just look, I sent it again today.
Yep.
Today, like at 5ish. Look at your email for me today.
I don't have any.
So that doesn't have to be rotated. I could pull that up if you want to see it.
Yeah, alternatively, I think I sent it on Thursday at 5:19. On the 10th, sorry, August 10th. But
5:19, hang on. Do you want me to do anything with my screen share or leave it on?
can you pull up the Weston sample? And I apologize for jumping around. It's just that in the conditions it comes first. So.
What am I looking at? I'm sorry,
So look at if you look at the email again, I sent the same thing this afternoon, Peter. It was a PDF. I haven't opened on my screen, but
Do you want to share your screen? So
yeah,
Peter,
do I unshare? Do I stop sharing then?
yep, you stop, and then Teresa can share hers.
So what am I, okay. Because I remember last time that's what got us into this whole thing about how can you have more impervious surface? How can you possibly meet those regulations? And that's what got us into this whole thing about, getting rid of one of the driveways.
share screen.
Teresa, what was the date on the one that you said you sent?
Yeah.
It was today?
Can you see that?
Yep,
Yeah.
we see it.
So you gotta scroll as needed though.
I
Yeah.
can do that. Here we go. General performance, Rebecca, since we're talking about over here on the bottom of 10A, right
Exactly
there.
right. Yes, so it goes through, how it met the performance standards, and I'm wondering whether or not you guys.
Improves the existing conditions of the capacity of the riverfront area protect. because aren't we on 2? Because the portions include previously developed, project constitutes redevelopment. The work improves the existing conditions.
It's right, it does, yes, that's right.
So that's why we said you can't, how you gonna, when you have like 8,000 square feet more, how are you improving it?
Right.
Um.
Stormwater management, there's no stormwater management, right?
Well, are they gonna do that with the, are they gonna do stormwater management with the new addition? Are they gonna have
No,
Well, it's not required with.
it's not required. So
okay,
it's not required.
how else?
Is the work any closer to the existing conditions? Rebecca, do you,
I don't think so, because I think.
No,
the-
I think it pulls it back, right?
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah.
proposed work, then the existing,
Okay.
I don't even know.
Just interrupt, the stormwater thing is only just to remind, like stormwater for single family houses. So it's not required, which is why if someone proposes it, it's considered an improvement, whereas if it's required, it's not considered an improvement. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
they didn't, thank you for, but they didn't propose it, did they?
No,
Okay.
remind like why that particular
Is there, okay.
why letter B was in there.
Is there
for-
any
Okay, so
reason
we-
why we wouldn't ask them to propose, to have it?
We don't need to propose it, because they're not, it's a single family house.
If you couldn't meet, you know, if you weren't, if the
You
project.
need- If you needed something more, they could
Yeah.
do it. Okay, we're not asking them. Okay, I got it.
So, okay, so C we're good with, right?
Right, it's not closer.
Proposed work, okay, then, and now we're up to D.
Mhm.
That's not true, it's not outside the riverfront area.
Well,
But it's
yeah,
toward the riverfront area boundary, kind of, sort of. Is it?
Including expansion of the structure shall be located outside the riverfront area or toward the riverfront area boundary.
Rebecca, I'm just thinking, you probably should add this to the standard order too, right?
The performance standard section?
Yeah, this section, right? Right,
Well, yeah, if it's a riverfront project, well, I
Right.
think that's why I sent those samples in, and the one you approved kind of just said insert description, and
oh, right, you're right, you're
it
right,
kind of left that where,
right.
So
you know,
on
it's
D-
interesting,
on
this
D,
looks like,
Can
sorry,
you say it's closer, it's further away from the riverfront, it's closer to the riverfront area boundary than the hot top that's being pulled up? Do you know what I mean? If you look at it that way, is that the way you look at D? Do you know what I mean? It's further away from the river. As a result, the degraded area is now further away from the river when you take into account that they're restoring the hot top, which is much closer to the river than.
they're also removing those two concrete.
Yeah.
other Sections.
Hands
Yeah.
in the back, right.
And one of them is, and actually one of those is further still closer to the river. So in other words, I guess my point would be that if you were looking at one project now where you have a lot of pervious area close to the river, and now you look at this and you have the pervious area starts much further away from the river.
So that's what you would write where it says staff note. I think that's well, how I'm looking at it is they like reiterated the redevelopment standards in kind of a nutshell. And then the staff note is how
Right,
they
right.
either met it or they found it acceptable or whatever their thought process was. So that would be the thought process, right,
And
Peter?
then, so
Right.
E is what crushed it last time before they did. The proposed shall not exceed the amount of the degraded area. So that
I'll
was,
put in those areas into the order.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think it's fine to add those nice staff notes, Rebecca, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's really valuable. I think
Yes.
that's really, to be honest with you, that's kind of the crux of it, right? It's
yeah.
In a
It's
river
gonna be-
project,
it's gonna be
project.
better, it's gonna be better than where we've, as
Right.
we believe than when we found it. That's really, isn't that the bottom line here?
Yes,
mhm.
Yeah,
First-
this forces you to go through the process to sort of quantify
right,
it
make sure, yeah.
as opposed to just saying it.
So, so are we good with this now, Rebecca? We went through D and E.
Yeah, I think I understand.
All
why-
right, and Peter and I got lots of credit for being able to share tonight.
We're good sharers.
So, okay, so now I apologize. Could we pull up the most recent conditions? And
All
then
righty, who's gonna do that? Shit.
you are. You're so
Ah.
good now.
Okay, well, you gotta get off here. You gotta unshare now.
I stop sharing. I've stopped sharing. Okay,
Okay,
I
so
can
now
do
that-
this. I can do this.
we are gonna be like technological. We just shifted over in our office to a new.
No, that's right. I'll be.
Now, and I'm just like, so I am on the mode of trying to learn some technology.
I know.
Better than me. I can't even get my camera to work.
Again, you can't. Really, Haley, you have no
Haley,
general.
what I noticed if you know your toggle where it says audio, or let me just see where mine is.
Yeah, I have a start stop video and I always try it.
And
But
you hit that little up arrow.
Up.
Hit that
Like
little
right
up.
now I have it on, but it's just a black screen. And then sometimes it gives me it.
Yeah, but when you hit that little toggle,
unknown.
if you hit that little up arrow next to
Yeah.
start video, does it
Can
give you
you
choices?
see that now?
Yeah.
Yep.
All righty.
Haley,
Yeah, and it's on the
wait,
right camera. I
what?
don't know why it doesn't work.
Are you sure? Try a different camera then. Maybe it's just how many cameras do you have?
Well, it has surface camera front, surface camera rear, OBS virtual camera, whatever that is. But front would be the one that's looking at me.
Is it? You on your cell phone?
Oh, now okay, hold on. Here's the other issue. It starts screwing with my whole meeting when I do have it on.
No.
Hold on.
Well, I noticed that what I was doing with my microphone is I got a couple choices, and it because it like has all the stuff like what I have when I'm in the office, what I have
Right.
at home.
You have different
Yeah.
choices.
Yeah.
But can we just perhaps say we're not gonna be able to solve Haley's problem right now?
Correct.
Haley, we're just not going to be able to see you. If
And
that
can
really is you, Haley.
And can we go to the new and improved order of conditions, I should say.
Yeah, the hot shot order of conditions
So
here.
here we go. We're looking so far. All these apply, right? Rebecca, do you want us to go through them or just go to the end?
Why don't you go through them? You'll learn them.
I've already looked at them today, Jim.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, why don't we start at 1?
I'm not inviting you for breakfast. Holy mackerel.
How about 21?
You must be
21.
crazy.
Is that what you mean, Peter? 21.
Yeah, what happened to 1 through 20?
That's already in the form.
Okay. I see.
All right, so how about I do it real quick? 21's new. I added it. I liked it.
That's fine.
It's in a lot of things. Okay, 22 is modified. Teresa added the sentence in blue. 23, 24, 25 are relatively similar to what you've always had. 26 is a new one. I put it in based on some of the other stuff I saw. 27 is an old one that is just continued through. Okay, now going through to 28, we've had that.
Right.
29, I moved around. It's in essence the same one you've always had. I've moved it and cleared up the wording a little bit. 30, I took the 5 erosion control, or I don't know if it were 5, I could be exaggerating, but the many erosion control conditions and put it into 1, and there it is.
Wait a minute, Rebecca, you didn't take out my condition, did you?
The one I believe that we just passed it.
Well,
What one was that,
oh, it
Jim?
was 20,
Go
it
up
was
to
28.
27.
It was 28 before, that's what it was.
Okay, so
looking at 31B.
okay, so we're looking at 31. This is the same as you've always had. I added C. I took it as away from being a separate condition and put it under this particular heading. Okay, so it's the same words. more or less.
Nicely done,
Put
Rebecca.
it under
Nicely done.
there. All right.
Rebecca, when you're talking if work in a wetland area, that's in a wetland, not in a buffer zone, right? Not so that wouldn't even be applicable here, right?
Where am I looking?
31B.
31B.
B. Yes, right. Right.
Okay.
So for instance, the enforcement order that we were looking at
Got it.
earlier, the construction sequence, right. All right, 32 and 33, more or less, are the same as what you've had. I just
Yep.
wrote them in a way that you can see the difference a little bit clearer, and then it looks like there's some added language there, but more or less those are the same that you've always seen. Okay, maybe in a new location. All right, going through during construction, we're going to check the hay bales. You've seen that. The dewatering is again something you've seen before, or has been included in your previous orders. 36, at the end of the day, this is a new one. It's talking about sweeping. I actually think that's fantastic because all of our catch basins go to wetlands more or less. It helps keep the streets clean. Concrete trucks, that's an old one. All right, so the first one that we're gonna hit now of stockpiling. So the first one with a distance associated with it. No stockpiling of materials
All right.
within 25 feet.
But wait, isn't the riverfront a resource area? And the whole thing is in a resource area, isn't it?
Okay, so we'll edit that to say,
How about within of the within 50
Of the
feet
river.
of the river,
okay, so let me write that down.
of the center of the river, or whatever you want to call it, or the
Of the
You
bank of the
probably
river.
top a bank.
The bank.
bank
Top
of
of
the
that,
river.
right.
Yeah. Okay, good.
All right, so no stockpiling within 50 feet of top of bank.
You
Got it.
want to say 50 feet?
That's what Peter said.
Peter, is that what you said?
Yeah. Well, no, it's what I said after Rebecca corrected it.
Instead of 25 feet?
Yeah, 50 feet of the top of the bank. That means they got to put it in the front yard, right?
Yeah, so where does that 50 foot?
Why do you think we don't want to stockpile within 25 feet of the land? Why do you want to stockpile within?
Well,
Why
50,
increase it to 50 feet?
50 feet's further away than 25 feet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's a bigger area, not to stockpile. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry, Peter. Forgive me. Sorry. You're right. It is.
Okay, I have the change to number 38. Got it.
Sorry, Peter.
So number 39 is a new one that was added. Just kind of covers you.
Yeah, I like it.
Number 40, where am I? Cleanup maintenance, that was added, and number 41 was added. Okay. So then you have your certificate of compliance. Let's see, 42. It's
Well,
the
in
same.
41, just to be, isn't that the same issue? Shouldn't that be like 50 feet of the top of bank? I guess what I'm saying is the river, is the 200 foot of is it a resource area, the 200 feet up from a river?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I mean that means you can't store anything on the property.
Well, this
No,
is
no fuel, oil, or trash or dumpsters.
I mean, isn't that the whole point? Isn't we didn't we just said that, well, just keep it 50 feet away from the top of bank and we're okay? That gives them the opportunity to store something on property
Mhm.
without.
but you don't want what they're storing on the property to be fuel, oil, trash. Well, trash dumpsters might be tough if they're doing work.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta consider too, people have lawnmowers and they probably have gasoline. We ran across this before.
Shall be stored. They store the.
But this is during construction, right?
No, I know. Well, if it's a house during construction, this guy's gonna be,
Oh, wait, what is this category we're on? Are we on?
Construction.
We're on during, right? Okay. So it's during construction. Can we just keep everything within 50 feet of the river, of the bank?
Within 50 feet of the top of bank.
Okay,
Yeah,
so number
it's
41
just consistent with what we
Yes.
have.
No, you're right, Peter. You're right.
No, I like it. Yep, within 50 feet top of bank. Okay, I'll edit number 41 to have that.
All right. So now up to the.
42 is the same as before.
wait a minute. Guys are going too fast. Go
43.
back down to 41. You've got to make an exception for someone that maybe you can store a gallon of gasoline or something, because people are gonna have lawnmowers and.
Yeah, but but this is,
It is during construction.
Well, don't you think they're gonna have grass around there or something that they're gonna trim? What if
Jim,
they have
if people are
weed whacker?
storing gasoline in there for their lawnmowers all over Wakefield, I've never been notified.
What?
I said people are probably storing gasoline, have gasoline containers for the lawnmowers all
No,
over the town.
I'm sure
I
they
think this
do.
is-
I'm
I
sure
think-
they do.
I think this is for the construction vehicles. Right?
Okay.
No, I'm asking, well, do you want me to,
Say no construction vehicles should. All right, no, it's fine. Leave it alone. It's stupid. We can just leave it the way it
you want to
is.
delete it?
If you want to say
We
no.
delete it.
No, I'm just saying,
trash
no,
dumpsters
If
and
you
just
think it's
other-
stupid,
it's not
Jim,
worth it.
Jim,
What?
we'll delete it if you think it's,
That's my name. What?
Well,
and I know how to pronounce it.
or you could say,
If you think 41 is stupid, we'll delete it.
Yeah,
No,
let's
I'm
delete-
not, no, I'm thinking I was being stupid about it
Oh,
because.
no, I thought you thought, oh, that was stupid. No, you're never
Yeah.
stupid.
well, you could say no fuel, oil, trash dumpsters or other pollutants used, used in connection with the construction.
Yeah.
Shall be
No,
stored.
'cause, I mean, people do have snow blowers, they're gonna have lawns, they're gonna need fuel around their house. At one point, we had a condition in there that said these items are exempt as long as you're not like stockpiling, 50 gallons fuel,
This
but
is
this
one
is,
of
this is
those-
fine. It's never gonna be bothered anyways. It's just fine. Fine the way it is.
Okay, good.
No problem.
If it's never good, I kind of agree with the dumpster thing. That's a little tough when people are doing construction.
Oh, yeah, we want the dumpster in the front yard. We don't want the dumpsters down. We don't want, no, but we're saying we
Right.
don't want the
Right.
dumpster right down by the river, right?
Okay.
That's what we're
Yep.
saying.
All right, so 42 is the same as before. 43 is the same with the blue, with the slight edit that's written in blue. For A, B is the same, C is the same. And then what I did for the perpetual conditions is I added that statement after the perpetual conditions to indicate I took that from somewhere else. And then I sort of took all of the conditions that were previously listed under general that applied in perpetuity and put them all in here instead. So
Mhm.
it's reordered.
Yeah.
But a lot of these conditions are what you had previously written. So
Okay, so what's 46? We didn't talk about 46 before, did we?
44, 45. So, yep, 46 is the, you had one that talked about fertilizer use.
Well, I guess my question, we have to decide, do you want to say 25 feet?
Wait a minute, this one's not fertilizer. This one is pesticide, herbicide. So this has to be, 46 has to be edited anyway because it's not worded properly.
What's the matter with it?
Well, it's got a mix of two things in there.
Yeah,
you'll
It doesn't,
notice
it's
that-
not responsive to the fact that the riverfront is the 200
Right,
foot.
it's also in the contract, right.
It's the same as the other two, we have to just customize it to the
Well, it's
river.
also, by the way, so is 45.
Yeah, so not only is it the cost of the distance that we need to modify, but also it's not written correctly. It's got it's cut and paste a piece of it from other condition and
Yeah.
it's
45
not right because we're talking about pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and insecticides. But then the next sentence talks about a fertilizer and that wasn't listed in the first sentence. So 46 needs to be edited.
Okay.
But let's go back to 45 before I edit 46. All right, no storing. All right. All right, so you need to pick a distance for number 45.
Within 5 feet of the, again, top of bank, right?
You're back within 50 feet of top, 50 feet of top
Should
of
we say
bank.
50 feet, Peter?
10 feet of the wetlands.
I was just saying. The wetlands.
We have to say 50, we have to say a certain number of feet with a top of bank, right?
Yeah, I think we should do top, because there is no wetlands, it's all top of
But no,
bank.
we get that. So how many feet should it be? Should it be 50 to be consistent with what we said before?
He's tough in this. This guy's lawn goes all the way to the top of bank, doesn't it? Pretty hard if
Yes,
he
it
had.
does. Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, he might have some grass clippings or brush or something, you know what I mean, within 25 of that. I'm throwing out 25, I'm just saying. Because that's his lawn, his whole
What
lawn.
about 20 feet of the top of bank?
How many?
20 feet at the top of bank, I don't care. That's what the point is. Your point is that you wanna, we're using top of bank. That's been our
Yep.
consistent thing.
Yes,
So the question is, we were saying 10 feet of the wetlands, which obviously lets you do it in the buffer. You can dump
Right.
land stuff in the buffer zone.
Yep.
Normally. So I guess what I'm saying is it's a little more lenient than since it's organic matter.
yeah. I think 50 would be tough. 10 or 20, I think. suits
Okay,
your
no, you're right.
protecting the
Just do 20, because I think you're right, we're just trying to make sure that we don't get, stuff dumped that can go into the.
Yeah, you don't want, which is what ends up happening. They push everything to the back. I understand that, and I think that'll solve that. All right, so number 46. I'm gonna have to pull up the old fertilizer.
The old fertilizer.
Yeah. So the use of pesticide, all those things within 25 feet of a resource area.
What did we do for Heron Pond? Because
Oh, I don't know. So this is, you have the Mill River here, is what you're discussing for this particular project. Limiting pesticides and herbicides within 25 feet of the Mill River.
Yeah, the top of bank.
Yeah, I'm just saying what you're
Yeah.
talking about here.
Right. I think that's reasonable. 25 feet seems reasonable to me.
Number 46, okay. Then what I want to do is, because then it talks, wait, go back to 46, this one's not right yet. And it says the remainder of the buffer zone, and it talks about fertilizer. So I am going to edit 46 to remove that second sentence. And then I'm going to insert after that your previous fertilizer condition.
What number was that, Rebecca? Do you know?
I will find it.
It's okay. You know what, Rebecca? You'll do it now.
Okay, I have it. So it was previously number 30 and it said all herbicides and or pesticides. Wait,
Yeah.
so we did mix it before.
You did.
Okay, so let's separate it. I'm just gonna, so this is the fertilizer, I mean, this is the pesticide herbicide one. And it says it's prohibited within 25 feet. And then no fertilizer shall be used within 25 feet. And in the remainder of the buffer zone, only fertilizers with water solid. Then I edit it. So I'm gonna clean up 46 so that it's just
you have to add-
pesticide within 25 feet. And then I'm gonna create a 47
For fertilizer.
is no fertilizer within the 25 feet, and then put in the remainder of the buffer zone as
Right.
a single release fertilizer. Okay.
And Rebecca, when you do that, can you send the revised ones to us so we have it for our files?
Yes, I will. Hold on.
So, but here for this particular one,
Yes,
we're gonna say 25 feet of top of bank.
yes,
Okay, and the same fertilizer too with 25. No fertilizer within 25 feet, right?
Yep.
And we're gonna say within 100 feet, in the remainder, in the remainder of the resource area.
so what you had previously was herbicides and pesticides within the 100 feet to a resource area or within shall be used in conformity with the product label and state law. An applicator hired by the applicant shall be licensed in the state. That was your herbicide and pesticide. The new one just says it's prohibited within 25 feet. So then the next one is the fertilizers prohibited within 25 feet, but the remainder of the buffer zone, you can use this organic slow release granule.
Right, and all I'm saying is for this particular project, we can't say buffer zone, we have to say in the remainder of the resource area,
Okay, yeah, okay.
that's all. And are you gonna add that sentence back in about shall be used in conformity, any, hired by the applicant, or by a
You want me
license?
to add that in?
Yeah,
Do we need the snow plow thing? I mean, it doesn't really make sense for the property if they're gonna take away I don't care, but
they're not gonna plow snow back there, I agree, is number 47 applicable?
Okay, all right, no snow.
do
So
you
on the
think?
It would have
side,
been if they kept that driveway, would have been a big deal if they kept the lower driveway, but
Well, wait a minute, but they have a new, they have a new driveway, and the new driveway butts up against the garage.
yeah, it goes into a garage, yeah.
Right, so you're right, they're not gonna do snow removal. They're not gonna store snow back there, store snow back there.
okay, so I'm deleting number 47.
Yes,
And number 48.
yeah, they're not gonna,
Yeah. They're
right,
gonna
they're not
store
gonna,
the
yeah,
backyard.
back there, right.
Okay, so then I bet the other stuff is stormwater
applicable.
management. Yeah, is there anything else that you guys want specific to this project?
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't know, you guys didn't talk about like any plantings,
No,
or I know we talked about the fence, but I think we decided the fence stays, or that was decided at the meeting, I think mentioned.
Yeah, no, the fence was good.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop
Um,
sharing, is that okay?
Yep. So that's it, okay. I think I've got the conditions for 9 Woodville then.
Alrighty, so now, Jim, I don't wanna, move you along too fast, but should we get to the next item on the agenda?
No, you gotta vote to do what
Oh,
you
I'm
just.
sorry, we had to vote, I'm sorry.
I'd like to make a motion.
I second.
Such enthusiasm.
Yeah, you make the motion. Okay, all in favor? Teresa,
Yes,
Peter,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
yes, and me, yes as well.
All right, I think there's one more quick one.
It's a tree.
Hopalong Circle.
replacement, with a winterberry holly in lieu of boxwood.
Yeah, so, it was a while back, the homeowner wanted to take some trees down. He came back with a plan and proposed a row of boxwoods. And then I think it was, Bob who said, can we do something native instead? So he's saying, okay, I'll do winterberry holly instead of the boxwood.
And is that native? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yes. I suggested it to him and it's the one, and I suggest this one a lot because I think a lot of people like it.
Yeah.
It's got the red berries in the winter. That
Yeah.
you see
I
all
love
the-
I love the red berries.
See, everybody loves that. Everybody loves that. They like to cut it and put it in their Christmas decorations. or
Right,
preserve that.
exactly.
Rebecca,
yeah.
okay, so now finally you and or Elaine are in agreement that you've seen it and you have you think it's fine, right? That's the one thing I care about all these tree removals is that one of the two of you actually.
But we already approved the removal. They're
Yes.
asking for a substitution.
Okay, oh, okay, good. Yeah, then I'd like to make a motion to approve the substitution.
Second.
Are you kidding me? Okay,
No, we're not kidding you.
all in favor?
Jim, you're supposed to,
I've had enough.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, did someone make a motion?
We
Falling behind right
Motion's been approved.
now. What?
Jim, keep up. Keep up.
You know, you keep yelling at me like that, I can't keep up. Oh, God. Okay, so where are we at with this?
we've
Well,
had a
we're done with
motion,
the-
it's been seconded, and now you're gonna do a roll call of the four
Okay.
commissioners.
Okay, Peter,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
okay, me as well.
Yay.
You got that?
Anything else, Rebecca?
Yeah, I'll just give you a quick update. So we had talked a few times about a floating wetland in Lake Quannapowitt.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so MAPC had their expression of interest and then the grant round opened today. I put together a quick presentation. I mean, I can share it with you guys real quick right now if you want to see it.
Yeah, I'd like to-
You want to see it? Okay, so I had a meeting with MAPC on Friday to talk to them about this project and to see it.
Wait, can you please, MAPC, can you please tell us what that acronym is?
Sure, Metropolitan Area Planning Commission. I think that's right.
Okay, thank you.
So, and Judy, correct me on anything if I'm wrong. So I just met with them and said this was our idea, and they gave me some feedback about when we apply for the grant, what type of other information they'd want included in there and how they think that the application could be better. But for the most part, they seem to be on board with it. Of course, it's a competitive grant, so who knows what else they're going to get.
Yeah.
But this is only halfway done. I have a lot more work to do. So I need to present it to the town council and get their approval before we can do this. And unfortunately, I can't get on their agenda until September 11th. And the round of funding closes September 15th. I would have preferred to have been one of the first submissions, but it doesn't look like that'll be the case. But so be it. All right, now let me try to find, take me a million years.
The rest will find it for you.
You guys
didn't
don't
do
have
it.
it. No,
I don't
you-
have it.
It's not my home computer.
When are you meeting with FOLQ, Rebecca?
I don't have, let me just, Friday at 1:49. I don't have any meetings set up yet, but I will tell you that I'm hoping, I've reached out to Friends of Lake Quannapowitt, to Saugus River Watershed Council, and I'm intend on reaching out to the Quannapowitt Yacht Club and potentially any art collaboratives or any artist groups in town. All of these people, these folks, I'm hoping to get involved in the process. I've run it by Steve Mayo. He seems to be in favor. Of course, there's a lot of work that needs to be done and stuff to be ironed out. So we'll have to see, but give me 1 second to share my screen with you. And I literally put this together relatively quickly. I know there's a lot more work to be done, but so this is what I showed MAPC. Basically, we've got Lake Quannapowitt. They were not necessarily familiar with all the intricacies of Lake Quannapowitt that you guys are. So talking about the existing plans that the town currently has or has adopted, and within those plans, for instance, the MVB plan. Hold on, I have to hide you guys. You guys are in my space. There is the action item of improving the water quality of Lake Quannapowitt and using green infrastructure. Within the Vision 2030, a lot of the participants who submitted survey results or participated in that process, many, as a matter of fact, most of them agreed that protecting Lake Quannapowitt was a really big deal. So you have the 91% of the folks who took the survey think that preserving the natural resources in Wakefield is really a big deal. And similarly, 89%, by the way, those are like the highest percentage of anything. That's like the greatest consensus if you look through that document. So this certainly, if we get the grant and this project moves forward, it certainly fits very well within the goals that have already been identified for Wakefield, either through one of those two plans. So for the grant itself, it fits within their program priorities as it's a natural based solution, and it will include public education and outreach. And so I've described how basically having this wetland, I think, especially on the most prominent place in Wakefield that most people are familiar with and visit, whether it be locals or people who come into Wakefield, something there that is a visual certainly could be used as an educational tool, whether that be, if they have kayak excursions out to it, or whether or not we extend and contact the school to have some type of program around it, or even if it's just as simple as having some type of signage that indicates what it's all about. But I assume there'll be lots of communication involved in the event this moves through. Talking about the advantage of, water quality, and this all is going to fall under climate resiliency, and I have to make that sort of connection, but this will all be hopefully great educational tool to start this conversation, because I'm not sure how often that conversation happens right now, all while incorporating some type of artistic element. So you could consider it art installation. So it really is multifaceted. Here we have you guys know how this stuff works, so I don't really have to go through the science behind it, but the functions of a floating wetland. We've got this
I
lovely.
have a question
picture-
for you,
You bet.
Rebecca.
Yeah,
These are all plants on top of these things, right?
yes,
They're floating out there. Is there any possibility that the geese are gonna land on this thing and eat the?
yes,
There is?
sure, why not?
Well, okay.
I don't
Uh,
think I don't think there's much chance of that when it's in the water like that. I mean, there may be some, but
Yeah,
really off of what they're looking for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's fully vegetated, maybe it'd be more challenging for them, but I mean,
And there's no way to avoid that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't,
Can I ask, what about boaties in the lake?
what about, you mean, this shouldn't have any, it's not that big. I mean, the lake is huge. It's what, 250 acres? This is not that, I mean, so let me go back.
And boaties would have to avoid it. I mean, I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
or they could, I mean, it's just, it's a temporary anchor system, right? And so it's floating, so there's not a whole heck of a lot that there's no entanglement or anything, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So they could boat right up next to it, probably, if they're so intrigued, which I think would be great. They could do kayak around it and have some type of little explanation of what this is all about. I will go backwards and say that Elaine just forwarded to me, and then I have since looked at it, this Emerald Tutu that they're exploring in Boston, which is a whole system of floating wetlands to mitigate against sea level rise. So this is kind of a hot topic, and this is kind of a big deal right now, and maybe we could potentially incorporate some of that into this too. I don't know, I haven't gotten that far, but so going backwards, yes, Jim, I mean, part of the idea would be habitat.
Yeah.
So for instance, when I was talking to MAPC, I didn't think of geese, but I did think of turtles. So, you know, they like to rest, and there's no habitat resting. There's no logs in Lake Quannapowitt that they're going to hang out and sun themselves on, right? Maybe
Yeah,
this could
right.
provide something like that. I don't know. I don't know how many turtles are in Lake Quannapowitt, but
Mhm.
just saying that it would improve the ecosystem.
Mhm.
So there's mentioned before, awesome educational opportunity for many different reasons, the partners that I mentioned. So on the Charles River floating wetland, there was a student who put together a kit that was delivered or was available to some of the schools to like create their own sort of like mini floating wetland ecosystem. I was going to contact them and ask them if we could copy their kit, if they had extras that could be part of this
Tell
process.
them to come on up for the day.
Say again?
Tell them to come on up for the day.
So part of MAP's recommendation was to really contact them, find out a lot of details. So for instance, I would be able to contact them and say, hey, where'd you order the materials? Right? So we could have that. It'd be pretty easy to get information like that. Similarly, what if you could do it all over again, what would you do differently? What do you think worked? What do you think didn't work? And we can learn from them.
Yeah.
I do intend on doing that.
I'm curious. Wouldn't you want to ask them if they had any interest in, you know, if they you know, trying to see what it would be like to do it in our lake?
How big is it?
It's as big as you want it.
Where would you put it? Down the lower common, right by the shore?
You can put it anywhere, but one of the things that I think Judy and I were talking about is winterizing. So in the event that you wanted to have this year after year,
Yeah.
so the grant is just for 1 year. So your 1 year would have to include design and permitting. It would include the purchase of the materials. It would include the installation, and then it would have to include the first year of any type of maintenance, monitoring, or otherwise. Let me go backwards and say that MAPC really wanted not for us to use volunteers, but for us to actually compensate the people who would be working on this. So I had thought originally we would have volunteers who would install the plants, let's say, but they thought that it would be better if we could actually give compensation one way, form, or another. So we'll work that into the budget eventually.
I like that.
But,
So do you have to find someone that has enough plants to plant this thing? I mean, because you can't put anything in there. You got to put something that likes the water.
my guess is we would order from New England Wetland Plants. That's my guess, but I will ask Charles River folks what they did, who they ordered from, and were they happy? But you know, all restoration projects are ordered from somewhere, and I believe it's New England Wetland Plants. That's the place I get the catalog from. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll look into it. But anyway, so talking about how it can function as an art installation. So this is the one by Stacy Levy. It's actually kind of pretty.
Yeah.
I love the picture of it and the reflection. It also shows that it's small enough that or it can be whatever size you want, but Lake Quannapowa, it's enormous. You certainly shouldn't have any problems sailing around it or otherwise boating around it. I can't see that would be a significant issue, but we'll talk to Quannapowa Yacht Club and ensure that what not only the location, but also the size and design is something that I'm hoping that's something that they would be happy with.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk to them too. When I
Can we
say-
put that giant floating rubber duck in the middle of it? Give him a little home.
I don't even know what that is. I think this is a little prettier than a floating rubber duck personally, but I guess beauty is
Yes.
the eye of the beholder.
Mhm.
So these are just some of the considerations. And again, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on this. I have a lot of details I need to gather, a lot of,
But what happens after the first year? After how does it stay in the winter?
so that's one of the questions. So I had two options. I think from the Charles River one, the winterizing, you can remove it and store it and then replant it the next year. Or you can, what we were thinking is maybe move it to an area that doesn't freeze and see how it fares over the winter. Right? I don't know. Again, those are important details that I do need to sort out. I don't have all that information right now. This is just the first blush at everything. Definitely write that down to remind me to make sure I have that answer later. But for
Is
the
this
most
your,
part,
is this your presentation?
this was to MAPC, which was only an expression of interest, which
Okay.
I wasn't even required to have anything. It's just kind of, originally I did this to keep myself organized and my thoughts about what I wanted to talk about. And then I ended up just sharing it with them. And
Great,
so,
Rebecca.
so again, this is just a first blush. There's definitely more detail that needs to happen. I understand that. I don't have an estimated budget. I don't have
Right.
all the details with winterizing. I have some ideas, but I'll certainly have to come up with it. Permitting, I don't know if you need a chapter 91. It is a great pond. However, it's just a temporary anchor
Yeah.
structure. I'll have to call them and ask them. Hopefully that we can work it out so we don't have to, but if we do, we do.
Well,
And sorry?
what's the correct name of this? If you were to look it up on the web to see if, get more information, what would you call it?
It's on the commission's website. There's a link to that Stacy Levy, so you can see
Okay.
the background.
And I think I've sent you guys the Charles River stuff. You can Google Charles River floating wetland and there's awesome
Okay.
information. It's fantastic. They did a pilot program and they're continuing to gather information and to even expand it. It would seem, like I said, I would Google the Emerald Tutu. Also, I think that's really snazzy. Again, these are just, I think at this point it's just conceptual. They might be doing some pilot programs to see how it works, but we're finally on the edge of something.
Rebecca, this is a lot of work. This is great that you're taking this on.
Yeah, we got to get moving, get some stuff done. So this is, again, I'll keep you guys informed as things move along, but I'm hoping to get this up and running too. I don't have a lot of time. So like I said, the grant application starts now. I do have some work that I need to do and some people that I need to pull in. If you guys have any folks that you think I need to talk to or who would be interested in learning more, please send them my way. I've contacted Friends of the Lake. We're trying to find a common time. I didn't hear back from Saugus River. I need to contact Quannapowa Yacht Club. I'm looking for
Now,
some.
now the Boys and Girls Club operates a rental of kayaking on the lake. It's right by the playground towards the commons. So I'm wondering again, they operated and they have a contract with the town to do that.
Yep.
So it may make sense just to contact them.
Absolutely. I want to find out, what they'd be concerned with, what location, yeah, and then whether or not they'd be interested in participating in the process. I know the timing is a little bit, I'm not sure exactly how this works. Like, how do you put it out to the public before receiving town council approval? But if we have to wait till town council approval, we're gonna run out of time. I don't know how to sort.
Well, you can tell people, this is something that the conservation is working on, and town council hasn't approved it yet, but once you get your input, and and you're sure that town council would have appreciated your, their input and your reaching out to them even before you went to town council.
I have to sort that out because I've never done this before, so I don't exactly know what would be the best procedure for. Hold on, I'm writing, but
You're right, you're up against the deadline, so you're right. In the best of all possible worlds, you do it after the town council said yes.
Right.
But I think if you go to town council and haven't spoken to them, I think their first question will be, well,
Right,
have you spoken with these groups? Yeah.
What's
So-
the first question, Judy?
Would be, have you spoken to these groups
Oh,
to get their input?
Right. But do you think that we also need to have like a general public input? So do we need to have an informal or a conservation commission meeting that similar to how you do, Judy, with like the open space or any of the other plans in town where they have like public forums? Do we need to do that for this as well?
I would think that would have to come after town council approves it. I
Right.
need more time ideally, but I think that could, I don't know, that could be a mixed bag. That could squash it.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it before.
No, I don't think so.
But I'm not
Even though
gonna-
we're saying that, like in your earlier slides where you were saying that most of the town and all the surveys were already in favor of doing
Right.
things
No,
that
I'm
were
doing something that
helpful.
protects, not this in particular. That's like,
Well,
that's
right, not this in particular, but in general, something like it.
I suppose you could look at it this way too, though. This could be a one-time, 1-year thing that they design, permit, they install for one season. It gets taken out and everyone hates it and you never do it again.
Right.
that'd be
I mean,
sad.
I'd be
What other
disappointed.
areas, what some areas do is they take the plants out at the end of the season and plant them in a wetland. So it's a secondary arm of education to show this is how we protect the wetland with these plantings. And then you plant a new crop the next year.
So
So if
then,
someone lives adjacent to a wetland, maybe it could be, if someone wanted it, raffled it, whatever, and it could benefit, a buffer in their yard. So to try to heighten the awareness of protective value of these plants.
I'm just wondering the sequence of how to get everybody's input in enough time and in the right chronology to not offend and have time to incorporate any concerns or
when's this due?
so it starts today. I have 1 month, and when I spoke to Steve Mayo today, he said that the next meeting, town council meeting I can get on is September 11th, and this closes September 15th. Doesn't give me a ton of time. I didn't want to submit it on the last day that that it's open. The grant round of grant opportunity is open. I would have preferred to have submitted it earlier, just to have eyes on it. I mean, things don't always work that way. So I'm just trying to figure out how to best get this in front of everybody. I don't know the answer. I'll have to figure it out, I guess, and get as much public input and board input as possible while still going to town council to get their formal approval without getting backed into a corner and butting up against the deadline.
Well, if it's applying for something that's not even guaranteed, could it be applied for and then go through the process of reaching out and talking to everyone for?
I don't know the answer to that. Maybe it could be something like fine tuning after the I don't know. No, I don't know. Because once we apply, we wouldn't have the opportunity to incorporate any comments or concerns because it would already be in. But I also don't know if I can open it up to the public before we open it up to town council. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think if you are able to capture FOLQ and maybe Quantum Power Yacht Club, I don't know how much, I think maybe their main input would be just concern about, I know they have certain towns host their sailing teams.
Yeah.
So just being cognizant of where they would like
Right.
to places to avoid.
Right.
It
Yeah.
might come in handy. They could use it as something to teach kids how to navigate around it.
Yeah.
Whatever. They might welcome it. But I think those would be the two main groups to try to capture before town council.
Yep. What about design? Judy, like, what do you think about? I mean, I suppose we could have a few design ideas to present to town council, and they could pick which one they thought was the most aesthetically pleasing, and maybe some of those ideas we could get from, I don't know, any artist groups in town?
There's the Albion Street Cultural Exchange.
Yeah, I was told that that was somewhat defunct.
Well, the board, the committee is. But there are still the artists that have worked there.
How would do you know how I would get in touch with them?
I can find out who the contact is. I think Dan McGrath with the rec department, he runs it now. And I know
okay.
he's reached out to them, so he has their contact information.
Okay. I mean, do you think like contacting the garden club?
No,
No.
No.
Okay. All right. Anyway, that's the deal.
So
Okay.
can I just ask, changing the topic, about the email that came in that Haley sent to us about, whether the Conservation Commission has any opinion on the suit that's gonna be, brought.
The injunction tomorrow.
Say it again, Haley?
There's a hearing tomorrow in Woburn for the injunction.
Oh, there is.
Yes.
Alrighty.
So I know I know I sent that around. I didn't hear anything back. But they were asking, what did they say? Hold on.
And the Conservation Commission have a comment on it, right?
Yeah.
Who was asking?
This is
lawyer.
Dan Hill.
Okay, yep. I spoke to him on the phone.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I've talked to him.
Okay, then never mind. What did you say?
It wasn't about the injunction. It was more details of the project, some chronology of events, some general themes of, the denial, that kind of stuff. They did ask about.
Has he emailed again, Haley?
No, but Christine Ryu reached out to see if we had responded to anything.
I'm not sure we
want to, right?
I'm not sure that we respond to that.
Yeah.
Can I look at the where is the Haley, you got that?
Haley sent it.
I sent it on August 11th.
It's a preliminary injunction to stop any work prior to DEP. And my response was, as long as their work is not within our jurisdiction, I don't know how we can have an opinion on it. I mean, it'd be nice if they didn't do anything until DEP came out, but if it's not within our jurisdiction, nothing we can do about it.
As a commission, correct? But they're filing as a separate
Nothing
group.
we can do about it, right? I mean, I don't think we'd have I don't think we'd have a comment on it. Jim, do you agree?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Who are you talking to?
Is there another Jim?
I didn't hear her say Jim. I honestly didn't hear that. I didn't know what she said. I had spoke to her today anyways and told her that
you spoke to who?
Christine.
Okay, not the lawyer.
No, I didn't speak to the lawyer. No,
Okay.
Just to tell Christine that Rebecca had called them and talked to them, and basically they were talking about the project in general. That's what I told Christine.
Okay, so maybe
I'm not seeing an attachment to the email that has the complaint or anything.
no, it doesn't have
There
it.
is no attachment.
there's
It's
no
just
attachment.
below what I sent is the email that was
Right.
sent to us.
No attachment, Peter.
I just don't know I don't know whether they're attacking, if this is just all about the wetlands application of Wetlands Protection
No,
Act.
it's not. It's a plan to stop any work on it.
Okay.
Any project.
Okay.
So I guess, and I'm sorry, I guess that's the answer. We're not gonna do anything further.
Well,
with
that's right. I think that our job is to objectively apply the Wetlands Protection Act regulations to applicants. And therefore, I think that we've made our decision
it.
and
Right, it speaks for
now
itself.
it's up for someone to review.
Right. Yep,
Because otherwise we're in the position of being advocates, and that's not
Right.
what we're a commission
absolutely.
apply these rules objectively.
Alrighty. So
Okay.
I told my husband that this would be a short meeting. Cause I got, my train was late and I have not had dinner, but
Were you on the 5:55 that got canceled?
yeah, I took the 6:10 to Lowell and my husband picked me up in Lowell. I went
Oh,
in Woburn, sorry, I took the Lowell train.
Okay, I took the T to Oak Grove and then Ubered back to my car.
And you got there on time, fast.
Yeah.
Anyway, the
Well,
MBTA, the commuter line is just ridiculous. And you know it's gonna be, we're gonna take commuter buses in September for 2 months, Peter.
I know. It's
Anyway.
interesting.
But we digress. I'm sorry, we'll go back. Anything else on the agenda?
If you'd quit talking, we could probably go home.
Well, no, Jim, you're supposed to ask for a motion. Remember, you're supposed to ask for a motion.
I'm leaving that up to you tonight.
I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
Is
Second.
anyone?
I'm gonna second it.
Everyone's got nothing else to say, right? Haley, you got anything to add?
I'll add a second to the motion.
Okay. Well, let's take a roll call. Peter,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
and me. All in favor.
All right, good.
Have a
Right.
good rest of the